All right, let's get this started. Hi guys, thanks for coming. Glad to see familiar faces as well. But yeah, getting right into things. I'm basically what I'm trying to do is go through and review the most recent match from all of the Chinese teams, which means taking it through the qualifiers or the end of the Chinese qualifiers as well as the finals match from IVL, because that was the last time we saw GG and Wolves. That'll happen tomorrow, but for today we're going to be looking at FPX.ZQ and a little bit of GR as well, and then later on we're going to be looking at DOU5's qualification against ZS.Lin. So obviously, we're going into this knowing who wins, because obviously COA is happening. We've already got the top 20 global teams. Everybody's heading to China for the global stage tournament, which starts next Friday. It starts next Friday. So yeah, getting ready for that, making predictions and such. Obviously, there are more teams that weren't streamed for NAU. Korea qualifiers also happened. Japan qualifiers as well. I did stream a little bit of Japan qualifiers, but I figured that, to make things as easy as possible, we're just going to go over the Chinese teams. So to start, there we go. So ZQ, just for a little bit of background information, FPX.ZQ is actually the team that now has Dongshan. Dongshan was the hunter for DOU5 last year. We're seeing a little compilation here of the teams, but yeah. So looking at GR momentarily, Super Rich actually retired. I'm 99% sure that Super Rich retired, so he is unfortunately not playing. GR's hunter now is Nai or Ni, I think. Yeah, GR Ni is the hunter for GR. And moving on to ZQ, because the thing just changed on me. We're going to see Dongshan is the primary hunter for FPX.ZQ. Was bought, I believe, by them after COA last year, so unfortunately no longer on DOU5. We also have San S, Regesi, ZB, and SXY for the ZQ survivors. We'll go over GR survivors in a minute. But yes, ZQ was in finals. Were they in finals, or were they? I honestly don't remember. But yeah, no, they've been around for quite some time. And a lot of the Chinese teams have been pretty established for a while. Just because they are paid. They do have a very established league. So, and these teams are sponsored. Wolves, actually, funnily enough, is sponsored by the same Wolves that is a soccer team in England. Same exact sponsorship. Same team. Same team, but they have an esports division, and that division extends to China and IDV. So yeah, but yeah, we're seeing the introductions here. That is Dongshan, and yeah, teams coming out. I'm going to fast forward just a little bit to get into the meat of things, because there are quite a few matches to get through today, but yeah, looking at the GR survivors for a second here, we've got AK, generally a harasser. We've also got AC. We're going to see the seer and the cheerleader as his preferred characters. A lot of containment going on there. For Heart, that is GR's dedicated rescuer. We're going to see the mercenary and the first officer coming in there. Heart honestly is one of my favorite mercenary players. I am a little bit picky when it comes to rescuers. There are a lot of rescuer players that I'm not so crazy about, but Heart is definitely Heart has stuck out to me for a while. We're going to round out the lineup with Sazai, with coordinator and seer. So yeah, very, very strong team. GR Blue for their coach, and we're going to see Dongshan, the man himself, here. I'm not sure about the Lizard as that secondary pick there. But yeah, Dongshan is, to put it, I guess, a little bit in perspective. China fans refer to Sprinter as NAU's Dongshan. So just such a deep hunter pool, such a powerful hunter here with Dongshin. He has been struggling a little bit to kind of catch up with the current meta. The meta has been changing so much and so quickly. I feel like, I'm not sure, honestly, I feel like it's not that they're updating the tournament server more often this year. I think that they're just doing more drastic updates than they have been doing in the past. So like the nerfs and the buffs are going through actively with each stage of the tournament. So it's exciting, but it kind of keeps you on your toes. And when we go back and watch IVL finals tomorrow with GG and Wolves, something that I'm going to be talking about a lot then is how those teams might have adapted to the current meta, because right now we're looking at Cheerleader, we're looking at Aeroplanist. Those are both new. They only were introduced to tournament in December. So that's been, 3-4 months of being able to adjust in a tournament setting to these changes, to these new characters. Obviously, we're seeing Opera Singer get nerfed as well. So those nerfs are coming through. Basically, things are very, very weird right now. We've been seeing a lot of Gamekeeper in particular kind of rising through the meta, being basically the only other hunter that can infinitely dash with the hook. That is why Gamekeeper is meta now. Novelist as well, thank you. I kind of keep forgetting that Novelist is a thing that is existing. But yeah, we've been seeing a lot of Novelist picks lately, especially in round 1. But getting into things, we're going to see that Sacred Heart Hospital is going to be our first map, which is an interesting map to pick for our first half, or for our first round. It's a very, very survivor-sided map, which can be really good for a first round, but it's very decisive. You want to give your survivors as much of an advantage as they can get against an Opera Singer. Opera Singer is not too great on Sacred Heart Hospital, but Opera Singer hasn't always been our first pick. We've been seeing other hunters get picked more and more often as the nerfs for Opera Singer continue to build. So Dongshin can basically play anything, but Sacred Heart Hospital is such a difficult map to hunt on that the survivors are really at the advantage here. But for GR's lineup here, we're going to have Coordinator and Gardener as our first 2 picks. Those are going to be banned for the remainder of the round, so no more Gardener, no more Coordinator, but very, very strong first round picks. And yeah, for Dongshin's bans, we're going to see Perfumer, Lucky Guy, Antiquarian, and finally Mercenary. Obviously, the Mercenary ban does bring out the first officer, which does mean I'm not too sure if Dongshin is planning to play Opera Singer, because Mercenary struggles against an Opera Singer. More so on the kite than the rescue. Obviously, Mercenary is still a solid rescuer, but there's not much that Mercenary can do in a kite versus an Opera Singer. First Officer, on the other hand, Pocket Watch, Infinite. Against the Dash Hunter, First Officer does have much more of an advantage. So, obviously, Opera Singer is still at the top of the meta despite her nerfs, but the main thing with Opera Singer now, that's becoming just more and more apparent as we go through these matches, as her nerfs kind of come into effect, we've been seeing that Opera Singer mains are kind of emerging out of the pack, and people who just play Opera Singer because she's meta are kind of returning to their old mains. And yep, we're seeing here, Dongshin is going to go with that Dream Witch pick. So a little bit safer, a little bit more secure in that Dream Witch versus the Opera Singer. Dream Witch is much better on Sacred Heart than Opera Singer. She has a much higher, obviously, Sacred Heart's just not a good map for hunters. There's way too many kiting areas, ruins, shack, Sacred Heart, like the hospital itself. There's just so many kiting areas on this map, and yeah, it is something that you learn your lesson on pretty quickly. A Sacred Heart with Opera Singer. It's possible, it's doable, but it's a little bit miserable. And not that Dream Witch is going to be much less miserable. I mean, we have such a strong team comp here. Mercenary Band does kind of invite the Dream Witch here. But, so, I would say GR probably was expecting the Dream Witch, but either way, Gardener, you can't really comfortably chase first unless you're trying to farm presence, but even then, it is a risky first chase there because of that shield. Same thing with coordinator. You know, we are saying that Dongshun is not bringing excitement, which is pretty typical for a Dream Witch, but yeah, even with the patroller, coordinator as your first chase is not very easy. Magician as well. And interestingly enough, Magician here is going to have Tide Turner as well as First Officer. So GR playing it a little bit safe, bringing that double Tide Turner, trying to just keep their team alive as long as possible. And look at that Envoy. Such a nice skin here. Tomie has kind of lost her shine, I will say, because, you know, she is available now for everybody to get. But Envoy never gets old. It's always fun to see her played. But getting into the swing of things here, where it looks like AK is going to be our first chase here on that coordinator. Just going to try and avoid that gun as long as possible. Or possibly, I would say, AK should probably use the gun to transition early on. We're going to see a sandwich trying to get set up here with that leech. And our first patroller is going to come out. I believe that is from the spawn follower. Yes, the leech is catching up. We can see that walking by there. Are we going to go for the first hit as the leech hit? That's a little bit risky to send the leech into cooldown so early. But yep, okay, looks like we were able to catch up with the with the spawn follower here, getting that first hit. And the leech will be catching up pretty quickly here. We're going to see our second patroller from the main body. Nice prediction there. AK vaulting the window, and unfortunately is just going to go down. Main spawn follower once again getting that hit, so our leech is still going to be in play. Very nicely done there by Dongshun, and a fairly early down. It was definitely enough. It was over a minute into the match that we're going to get our first chair. Is going to be a 1 cipher containment. Other ciphers looking fairly healthy here. We do have 59% on one and 70, looking at 80% on the next. And Heart coming in for the rescue. Going to activate that pocket watch pretty early. Just going to try and use it to make it to the chair in one piece. Wasting as much time as possible. But we still want to get this chair before half. So Heart does have a little bit of room to work with, but looks like third shake of that pocket watch, and we're actually not going to be able to hit anything at all. Heart going for the rescue on the backswing and taking a hit there, just to get a little bit of distance for AK. Now AK does still have a gun to use, and we know that that Dream Witch obviously does not have excitement, so none of those followers will be able to avoid that gun unless it misses. A dodge is very much possible here, but having that gun is a little bit of insurance here. Already we're at 2 ciphers remaining. Those ciphers are coming along a little bit slowly. It looks like it looks like we're healing first before we return to decoding. But AK continuing this chase, getting a lot of distance here. Patroller coming out once again to get that bite. And are we going to be able to catch up is the real question. Yes, with a beautiful blink there, just immediate switch. And very, very clean down. Now, final 2 ciphers are at, okay, looks like we're going to actually open up a new one. So we're looking at 54% and a fresh cipher just starting now and reaching 10%. We're 3 minutes into the match. So this is a pretty fast-paced match. Looking like a draw trajectory at best. GR doing a very good job at just wasting time, and the struggle free, but of course, the second leech is going to be in play, but wasting a lot of time getting AK on a chair, and this is only AK's second chair, so a lot of more time for that coordinator to sit, waste time, buy time for decoding. Really looking like a 3-man endgame. Even, I would say, if they're able to body block like crazy, we could be looking at a 4-man endgame, especially if AC comes in for this rescue, because AC still has Tide. And it looks like, yes, that is going to be the case. AC hanging out around the chair, going to take a hit on the way in, and that is another 20 seconds of Tide Turner, but the gun, unfortunately, Dongshun can just switch to another leech, and that is going to be AK down once again. Honestly, not too bad, though. And a double down here on AC! AC staying in the area a little too long and getting caught. That's a little unfortunate for GR here. That's going to slow down their endgame decoding quite a bit. We are at 1 cipher remaining, but final cipher is reaching about 30%. AK is going to be returning to the manor in just a moment, though, and AC will be on chair. A little bit of multitasking coming out here from Dongshun, but of course, well within the realm of safety. And AK is going to be exiting the premises. AC now on share. It looks like Gardner actually coming in for the rescue on Magician. Dongshun getting a little bit tripped up there from the Magician's decoy, but getting the hit in on Gardner. And it looks like hard at work on that final cipher, reaching about 80% here. Definitely looking at a 3-man endgame. Draw trajectory wholeheartedly. That's really, you know, once again, we're really seeing the coordinator being able to redemption kite like that. Sealed it. Just absolutely sealed that draw here. Unless, you know, anything can happen though. Dreamwitch endgame can be very, very hard to play against, especially with a lot of leeches on the field. And we're seeing Dongshun's map control starting to take effect. We've got a leech parked at, looks like, at least one of the final ciphers. They're not quite cipher locked, but they are a little bit. Leech coming back here. Dongshun getting the main body in position. Got eyes on Gardner there, and yeah, these leeches are just going to halt this decoding. This could really change things, and this is just showing just how powerful Dongshun is with this Dream Witch. Having a leech parked at all 3 of those ciphers, not that they can't decode, you know? There's nothing that they can do other than just continue to communicate. Which again, this is where being that pro team that has kind of this legacy status really comes into play. You know, you have the communication down. You can continually say, Dream Witch on me, Dream Witch on me, Dream Witch on me, as she switches targets. And I'm going to circle back around to this point later, but that is something really, really to keep in mind here. Oh, but the cipher was managed to be primed right under Dongshun's nose. We're going to see that cipher pop there on a bubble hit from the Gardner. Gate already being opened. It looks like, despite Dongshun's efforts, this will end up in a tie situation. Getting a sandwich here on the Gardner, but that exit gate is nearly open. So, yeah, we're looking... I would say both survivors are already at that gate. Dongshun getting a little bit flustered here, but Sazai getting a little bit overconfident with that blink predict. That is going to be a very clean draw. Of course, it is only a draw, but it is what it is there. Yeah, I mean, it was a draw, and then it may not have been a draw, but it was really a draw from the beginning. The redemption kite from Coordinator, which, I mean, we're going to get to the stats in a moment, but it wasn't really a redemption kite as much as it was just getting an extreme amount of distance. And that really is all kiting is. Once you think of kiting less as staying within the range of the hunter and more in just keeping away from the hunter as long as possible, it becomes a whole different game. And that really is the strength of these professional survivors, is their ability to just stay out of the way at the right time. Even against a hunter like Dongshun, having that triple map control and just chipping away at the ciphers bit by bit there, and you can see, you know, that gap in the middle. You can't. I don't think you can see my mouse actually, but the gap between AK's elimination and the final cipher popping, that was all spent with Dongshun pressuring the ciphers. But if AK had been eliminated earlier, if AK hadn't been able to break as much distance as he was, if he had been able to kind of just contain longer or shorter, if Dongshun had been able to cut that chase short and get him eliminated before that 4th cipher popping, that could have been a whole different story. Unfortunately, it wasn't, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I think Julia was saying it before, but Dongshun has been kind of struggling with the new meta, which is largely because, I mean, all hunters are struggling right now. The meta is not built for a hunter to be particularly happy. So that really is just the name of the game, so to speak. But getting into the second half of round 1 here, we're going to see Nie coming up, and Nie is a opera singer main. So I would definitely expect, yeah, we're going to see opera singer as well as gamekeeper really leaning into that hard meta. or the emerging hard meta. Gamekeeper really is kind of seeing the golden age. And I feel like I feel like Gamekeeper being meta is a little bit like how Postman was meta back in COAVII, where it wasn't as much the character as much as like, well, close enough, you know. It's so fascinating to me because it really is just because of the infinite hook dash. That is why Gamekeeper is meta now. Because he's the only hunter that can do what Opera Singer does, but slightly worse. But that lack of cooldown is really what makes him. Yeah, but yeah, speaking of familiar faces though, I have been not paying attention to the chat very much. But hello JC, hello Evenings guys, hello Michi, and who else? Hello Jupi. Yes, all of you have joined in the time that it has taken me to notice. But yeah, heading into the second half of round 1, thank you all for being here. And things are honestly on a pretty even ground, you know. There aren't a lot of stakes on the table other than, you know, winning. There aren't a lot of stakes on the table in terms of the first half of the round was not weighted in either direction. We're going to see ZQ actually lock in Acrobat and Aeroplanist. A little bit interesting here, I would say, especially locking out the Aeroplanist first, but with Ni locking, yeah, we're gonna ban Gardener, Antiquarian, and Cheerleader. So I would say probably Opera Singer, but possibly not. I mean, Cheerleader's a little interesting to me, and I would say Cheerleader is more so just being scared of her support, especially the support levels that you can reach with this team. But with that Cheerleader ban, we're going to allow a Seer to come out, which is not a very ideal situation. But at the very least, Seer does, Seer has limitations. Seer has limits. Seer was also just nerfed. But with that final mercenary ban, we're going to see the first officer come in, and this is a scary team. This is a tanky team. All of these, the only survivor here that's really going to struggle to be chased first is going to be Seer. And that just means that the rest of the team is going to get in the way, between Nye and Seer. That is, like, it's just not going to happen. The rest of the team is going to do their utmost to make sure that Seer is not found first. Between rotating or putting themselves in the way of the hunter, they're going to keep the hunter's attention away from that Seer, you know, because you don't want to chase a first officer first, you don't want to chase an Aeroplanist first, you don't want to chase an Acrobat first. Best option here for first chase is going to be Seer, but all of that money is riding on the Seer, and Seer can just walk away. Get Heartbeat, walk away. Stay out of the area, make sure you don't get caught, and it's fine. And especially with spawn selection now, that strategy is so good, because there's really nothing you can do against it, you know? It's dumb luck. Or it's not dumb luck, you know? They're going to spawn Seer either in Shack or in Hospital, or somewhere where Seer can rotate to Shack and Hospital, and then it's a matter of, do I want to chase a Seer in an area that is objectively really good? Opera Singer is only okay in Hospital. I'm pretty sure the stairs are a little bit odd. Somebody who actually plays Opera Singer can confirm this for me. But I think the stairs inside the hospital only have one side of them with the shadow on it, which makes it very difficult to dash. And it makes it very hard for Opera Singer. Okay, yeah, it's only one shadow, so it's very hard for Opera Singer to maneuver in there until she has presence. And even then, it's not really a piece of cake, and not nearly as much as most open areas and other maps are. So yeah, and once again, Opera Singer does struggle on Sacred Heart Hospital. So while she is at the top of the meta, you know, trying to use her to get as many points as possible on the board, now it's a little bit risky. But really anything, there's, with it being Sacred Heart and having this strong of a team comp from ZQ survivors, it's not like this. You already survivors have the advantage when it's Sacred Heart, and then they have twice the advantage when they're able to lock in, you know, these tanky characters. They have a Seer, they have a first officer, they have an Aeroplanist, they have an Acrobat. This is cold hard meta. This is the sort of comp that is like, you know, you do not want to be here anymore. But getting into things, once again, you know, a draw is even. It's basically 0-0 because it's equal scores. So the tide can turn in either direction. But looks like we're heading into the ruins for this first chase. A little bit janky with the movement here from Knee. We're seeing pallet break right away, and Regessi taking the first kite. Aeroplanist, not a great first chase. Not the worst first chase, though. I mean, it's not as if he has a shield. But he does have quite a lot of time that he can waste with those jetpacks. We're going to see a first jetpack coming into play. So we still have the hover left to use. That's going to be 10 more seconds on that jetpack. So that is the downside of Aeroplanist, so that his cooldowns are very, very long. But the amount of distance that he's able to get, and he gets 3 of those, so it's not quite an elbow pad. But we are going to see Aeroplanist does have a little bit of a pallet dropping debuff, and we're going to see that right there, just pulling the pallet down a little bit too slowly. Opera Singer's hitbox getting right in the cracks there, so nicely done. We're going to see Seer, it looks like, does have an owl, but a little bit premature with it. And that owl is either going to go to waste here. We can choose to hit it, but no, we're just going to opt to not, and not quite getting the fall hit. And a beautiful hover there from Regessi, using it to dodge that blink and get right out of the way. And already to another pallet to continue this containment, but no, getting caught right on the edge of Opera Singer's hitbox. It's going to be a minute and a half of a kite, and that's practically 3 ciphers. You know, it's not exactly 3 ciphers, so it will take a second for somebody to get to the chair, but close enough, and a very, very strong performance there. That the usages of hover that we see in Koa are why Aeroplanist is meta, because that was just absolutely insane. SXY coming in for the rescue here, getting a little bit tripped up here from Knee. Not quite able to maneuver around that pocket watch, but SXY taking a hit, but rescue right before half. Beautiful 49% rescue. We're going to immediately get back on Regessi though, and that is going to be a down after the duration of Tide Turner. So that does buy quite a bit more time for ZQ survivors to kind of make things up, but we are going to reach full presence here. At about under 3 minutes into the match, we're going to get our second chair. Ciphers looking not too bad. We're at about a little under halfway, for our final 2 ciphers. Third cipher remaining at 73%. And it looks like we might let Regessi sit for a little bit. We're going to see SXY going in for a second rescue. It looks like Knee trying to catch up to the first officer's image, but not quite getting the aim right. SXY doing a very good job of staying out of range. Nice job on the rescue, and a beautiful body block from SXY. He will be going down momentarily, but beautiful, beautiful work there just to keep Regessi alive for a little bit longer. And this is what I was saying about you know, the coordination. You can get beautiful pallets done there. And again, we're just wasting more and more time. And that is the thing, you know, it's a very, I should do a video at some point, honestly. But I don't even know how I would explain it. You know, when to body block and when to not body block. This is basically a masterclass in when to take a double body block, because double body blocks are risky. They're very, very risky. You know, you waste yourself, you give the hunter presence, you put yourself down. But Regessi was able to get in more than enough distance to continue that containment. We're at a prime cipher now. SXY was also able to get back up just in case. But that cipher is more than primed here. We're going to see Sunes going for the pop. Not quite just yet. Cipher is at 98% primed, which is going to still be very, very fast. And ZB, are we going to pop? Not quite yet. Just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. ZB might be able to get a pallet stun here, or just get hit through the pallet, but Knee can't break these pallets, because, you know, it would just allow for that cipher pop to happen. But with a basic hit, that cipher pop is going to happen. A beautiful blink right through that wall there. Nice prediction as well on Sunes. That is going to be a down. It would be either way, but a nice Terror Shock just to make it clean. And that is going to be a draw. provided that they don't get anything crazy. But gate open, yeah, they are just going to take that draw for a tied first round here. Very, very nicely done. And that is the thing with Opera Singer. You can generally guarantee a tie. Not much more than that. But a tie is, all you need to keep the score even. Just going to mark that in here. Yeah, perfectly tied first round. So that is going to put both teams on just an even plane. Which is both good and bad. A tied first round does mean that there's more neither team has a lead yet. But what this can also mean, it means automatically you're going to go to round 3, so that's more matches that you're playing. And it also means that, neither team has a lead, but also neither team has a lead. You don't have an advantage, but you don't have a disadvantage, but you also don't have an advantage. So the playing, we're at 0. We're at effectively 0. But it does show, this is this is late into China qualifiers. This is, where is my timestamp? Hello? Oh, there we are. Yeah, but these teams are just so evenly matched here. And it's just, it's like bits and hairs to get into COA. I completely missed the map ban pick there, though. It looks like GR is going to ban Lakeside for this round, and ZQ is going to pick Red Church. Red Church, that's a little bit of a scary pick here coming into the second round specifically. I feel like the second round is always a little bit less predictable than the first round because there is that one hunter ban. It puts a little bit more pressure on the survivors. If you ban one hunter, counter comp another, you can pretty much get 2 hunters out of the roster clear, but it's still just such a huge risk, especially for GR survivors here going up against Dongshan. Dongshan's hunter pool, it knows no bounds. Or it does, but, hypothetically speaking, or hyperbolically speaking, I guess. Yeah, hyperbolically speaking, Dongshan's hunter pool knows no bounds. But I would say Dreamwitch, you have to ban Dreamwitch here. But that does invite out the Opera Singer. So you ban Opera Singer and counter comp Dreamwitch, but Dongshan's going to ban Dreamwitch. You've also already locked out Gardener and you've locked out Coordinator. Those are both really, really good picks against both Opera Singer and Dreamwitch. Is that an SST or Mary cosplay? That's awesome. But yeah, for Hunter bans, it's either Dreamwitch or Opera Singer. But either way you go, you're going to get the other one, or you'll get Gamekeeper. That's pretty much the end all be all. Dongshan could play Lizard on Red Church. Lizard's not bad on Red Church, but he's very much just a guaranteed tie. Or a theoretically guaranteed tie. You can tie with Lizard on pretty much any map. The problem is that you can tie with Lizard on pretty much any map. Right now, the score is tied. If you get a draw here, all that does is increase your chances of just keeping a tied score, and the match goes on forever. But yeah, it's very... And Red Church as well, being such a good map for pretty much all of the meta hunters right now. We've got, yeah, it's good for Opera Singer, it's good for Dreamwitch, it's pretty good for Gamekeeper. There's definitely a few areas that Gamekeeper gets stuck in, but the church itself is free real estate, because you can hook over all of the pews. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't like Red Church to hunt on, but it does kind of give a hunter advantage in this situation. Which with one hunter ban, that does make it pretty risky. But it makes sense here that ZQ was the one to pick Red Church, because they've pretty much already shown that they can counter Knee's Opera Singer, which does, they ban Opera Singer, you get Bane. ZQ pretty confident against Main. Good luck with that. Yeah, getting into the first half of round 2 here. Once again, score is even. Dongshun is immediately going to ban out the Seer and the Antiquarian. So if we are kind of trying to look for a Dream Witch, that does make a lot of sense. It also makes sense for an Opera Singer, but GR is going to go ahead and ban the Opera Singer, so I would say Dream Witch Part 2? Dream Witch Part 2 here, and we're going to see GR just go ahead and lock in the Aeroplanist and the Cheerleader. So that brand new meta already just showing up here. Yeah, no notes really. Cheerleader, obviously we know the power of the Cheerleader. Her infinite dash is really just difficult to work against. And yeah, GR is going to go just continue to counter comp the Dream Witch. We're going to see Psychologist locked in here. So again, we're looking at this tanky comp. And for our final survivor, we are going to see the Forward, which is a little bit interesting. You know, I would have expected the First Officer, but for teams that have a dedicated Forward, they are very attached to having that Forward, especially against the Dream Witch. You know, this is strategies that have existed for the past like 5-6 years now. Yeah, because Dream Witch has been meta since basically the dawn of competitive. And yeah, Dream Witch strategies are tried and tested. So really not a surprise to see an old familiar face in William Ellis coming out for what is very likely to be a Dream Witch match. Obviously, Dongshun can pull something out on us though, and I wouldn't put it past him. Especially since, you know, obviously GR is expecting the Dream Witch. And this can go two ways. You can either just go with the Dream Witch, and, you know, play into expectations, but confident enough in your own skill, to stick with the Dream Witch, or you can go Gamekeeper, Hermit, Lizard. Maybe not Lizard, but okay, yeah, we are actually gonna go with the Gamekeeper here. And a little unexpected. But I would say this is actually a pretty good pick here. Cheerleader, you know, you can just kind of yank out of the dash. I think she can dash out of the... She might be able to dash fast enough to get out of the hook before she's hit. So I don't know about that. I haven't really extensively tested Cheerleader against Gamekeeper. But Aeroplanist, you know, basically they have to be a lot more careful with their kite now. Because you can always get caught with the hook, especially on Red Church. And on Red Church, there are a lot of walls, so you can pretty easily make him miss. But yeah, it's a lot riskier. Or it's fairly risky. But I was thinking Gamekeeper because of the Barmaid ban. Now, Barmaid is a good ban for Dream Witch, but allowing, you know, Psychologist is obviously going to come out if you ban Barmaid. And you think, you know, why would you prefer to ban Barmaid over Psychologist? It's either going to be a Hermit, who I don't think Dongshun plays. I might be wrong on that, though. I would love to see Dongshun Hermit, honestly, but I feel like it's pretty out of his style. And yeah, basically, Chip Hunter, Barmaid, Gamekeeper. And it looks like Gamekeeper actually bringing excitement here. Very wary of and respecting that Forward. I would say also pretty wary of pallet stuns, especially on Sacred Heart. Or not Sacred Heart, my god, on Red Church. I'm thinking about maps that you can just pallet spam on. But yeah, we're going to have Trump Card Detention. It looks like just our only tide is going to be on Heart here with the Aeroplanist, AK with Flywheel, and both Sazai on the Psychologist and AC on the Cheerleader with Flywheel. The one thing that I really love, and we're going to see this again. We're going to see this again and again and again. I think the Bane skins that have been played are Worn Clothes, Worn Clothes and Molten Hound, and I think that's it. There might have been a C tier played somewhere in there, but pretty much every tournament Bane plays Molten Hound, and I don't blame them. Heart immediately getting caught in that hook and not quite able to jetpack away in time. He's going to get caught out there immediately. It's going to waste the jetpack. Pretty crucial misstep there here from Heart. That's just so unfortunate. But AK coming in with the support, just a short stun there. Excitement not quite up to counter it yet. And that is going to let Heart get a ton of distance. We're going to see our second jetpack come in. Dongshun with the hook. That hook is now in cooldown, but Heart is about 5 seconds away. Oh, we're going to prematurely pop the excitement. What? Oh. Okay. Well, yeah, prematurely popping the excitement here. Heart with a beautiful hover for that final jetpack. And AK is just free to do this as much as he wants. Infinite short stun. Well, not infinite, you know, obviously we're going to run out of ball eventually. But Dongshun having used that excitement there, that had to have been for something, right? I must have just missed it. But Heart nicely dodging that, but unfortunately not quite able to get out of the way of the basic hit. And we're going to go down, and because of the forwards harassment though, and this is the main thing that does hurt, especially in this day and age, you know, the linchpin of Survivor strategy is Cypher Rush. Not Cypher Rushing, you know, having a Survivor harassing basically from the outset here, as AK has done. AK not quite able to dodge that hook, is going to take a hit, but looks like AC coming in from the back with that backdoor rescue. And we're already going to be cheering up Hearts, so Dongshun under a little bit of pressure here to get this down as soon as possible. But honestly, I feel like we can relax a little bit. This is oh. AK not quite turning enough to get that stun, and is just going to get caught out. That's pretty big here, but Heart has been able to gain a lot of distance. The problem, though, is that our final 3 ciphers are, none of them are at 50%. One of them is about to hit 50%, but we don't have enough cipher There's no way that actually worked. Well, AK and Heart getting caught at just the wrong corner. Dongshun with a beautiful prediction there. And both AK and Heart just a little bit too close to the wall as it fell. And both of them downed with no attack recovery on that hit. So, yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate here. We're going to see AK self-healing, getting right back up again. We have about, I would say, maybe 45% of that ball left. But AK is just going to go straight down here. Does not have self-heal. Sizai is in the area to body block, but yeah, just going to turn around and I believe going to heal up, it looks like AK. Possibly for some harassment here. But once again, these ciphers aren't going any faster when no one is decoding them, so yeah, AK thankfully able to get out of the area. This can be very valuable in the long term, getting AK as far away as possible, but that is going to send Heart back to the manor. We have 2 ciphers remaining. They can make up this deficit. It's a duel. If they were at 3 ciphers remaining, maybe not, but 2 ciphers remaining here, 35 and 63%. It's a matter of being able to get back to those ciphers. But yeah, they're in fairly good shape here, in terms of, you know, being able to recuperate that Cypher Rush loss. But a missed hook there, giving AK quite a lot of time, and a beautiful power stun, but a flywheel on the excitement is going to keep AK alive. Beautiful play there. Unfortunately, oh, we're going to get a second pallet stun there. Nicely done. Dongshun getting a little bit overconfident. Nice, swing with the hook there. We're going to just keep up this streak. This is what I was saying about Opera Singer Dash. The only thing that can compare to it is the Gamekeeper's hook. We can just keep doing this all the way around the map and continue to do things in between. We're going to go for another swing, another launch of the hook just to keep that streak going. Final cipher is at 81%. It has been trapped off. Dongshun did just trap it off. And it looks like, are we going to be able to... It does not look like we're going to be able to open a new cipher just yet. Sizai is going to get caught out here, and a little bit unfortunate here, and this is exactly the danger of going into Gamekeeper. Yeah, we're dead on hit. That is immediately going to be a down. Unfortunately, Psychologist is not on the right side of the palette for that to work. And Final Cipher will be primed by the time that Sazai is chaired. Now, that Final Cipher is fairly close to where this chair is. So AC very well might get pressured off of it. AC also in a similar dangerous position here, being chip damaged against a Gamekeeper means that you need to be careful of that hook. But we're going to see Dongshun hooking back to that Cypher, letting this rescue go off, but another trap has been placed that is going to make it a little bit slower for that Cypher to pop, and Dongshun missing the hook there. Just a little bit unfortunate, going to send that into cooldown and make it so that he can't continue to chase those two survivors. We are going to see AC get caught out here. Dongshun keeping that hook streak alive. Are we going to be able to get AC? It looks like we have opened up a new Cypher, so that is going to be at about 20%. Oh, hooking through the window, but unfortunately AC was not quite there. We're turning around here, keeping an eye on that Cypher, making sure no one is ready to pop it, and just going to continue the chase on AC. Another hook in that direction. A hook to the tree just past, maybe a little bit wide, but nicely done with the hook there. But oh, the Cypher was primed! AK, I believe, was able to go back and just tap that Cypher. Very, very primed. Nicely done from GR. And we're looking at another draw. But we do still have trump card in play here. Dongshun can switch to teleport if he so chooses. However, it looks like we are just going to hook over to the gate. Unfortunately, there's just not going to be enough time. Both AK and Sai out the gate, and Cheerleader able to nab Dungeon there. That endgame just did not go as planned. A little bit too much Cypher Rush allowed, and that is what I was saying. You know, 2 Cyphers remaining. They can recuperate that Cypher Rush, and they absolutely did. Yeah, just the coordination of GR. There's a reason that that is the team that won the first 3 Call of the Abyss tournaments straight. Although GR has definitely had their ups and downs. They won the first 3 KOAs and then were knocked out first round of KOA 4. And I remember this vividly because I didn't know anything. KOA 4 was my first KOA. I had just started playing the game in late 2020, so I had missed KOA 3. But I was around for KOA 4, and that was the first KOA where they really kind of, like, they started bringing it big to NAU. So, like, we had the gold, that was the first time I think we had the golden apples, because I remember that being a big deal because the skins from the golden apple shop were now available on global server. So, yeah, KOA was actually a big deal that year. And, you know, I didn't know anything about it, but the one thing I did know was that GR had won the previous 3 tournaments. So pretty much everybody was like, okay, just bet all your apples on GR and it'll be great. And they got knocked out round 1. So that it put a dent in my apples. It put a dent in quite a lot of people's apples. I think GG actually won that KOA. Yes. GG won KOA 4. GG won KOA 4, Wolves won KOA 5, and DOU5 won KOA 6. Yeah, so quite a lot of KOA winners, obviously, in these matches. But yeah, that was a sad year for me. But it really does show, you know, the meta is incredibly unpredictable. In the state of the game as it was just a few months ago, it's not the same game anymore. There's a lot more just to kind of contend with, you know. Cypher Rush is never getting any better, but the thing with Cypher Rush is that more and more characters now are built to go again, or are built to Cypher Rush. And this is kind of something that I've had a bit of an issue with, honestly, with, like, the balance of the game, is that less and less characters have decoding debuffs. And if they do have decoding debuffs, it's never 30%. You know, it's never 25%. The largest they'll do nowadays is 15. Or a stackable one. I believe the maximum Alice can get is around 25. With because her decoding gets slightly slower with every baby that she uses. Or I think it's only if the baby gets hit. If the baby gets hit, her decoding gets slower. If I'm not mistaken. If anybody plays journalist in the chat, that would be helpful. But yeah, that's like the most that they'll do for decoding debuffs. Meanwhile, you look at the meta. Forward still played, but you can see the risk in how forward is played. You really need to have a team with well-coordinated survivors, because having a forward on your team, we just saw that in the previous match with GR, and that almost shot their Cypher progress in the foot completely, having forward on the team. So it's very dangerous to have characters with that greater decoding speed, or that lesser decoder speed. But speaking of lesser decoding speed, we are going to see a mechanic on the field. Honestly, ZQ survivors, something about them that really, really is good to look out for is just their comps, because we're looking, round 1, they locked in Acrobat first. We have an Acrobat first pick, like, it makes sense, but it's not something that we see a lot, and it's really not something that we see in round 1. Mechanic, round 2. Like, and this is what I was saying a little bit about how, you need to have greater decoding to offset the forward on your team, but Dancer as well also works as a decoder, so, because she can place her boxes. It's a little bit of a hello, I'm here, so there's a risk to using her as a decoder, but she can just place 3 boxes, pick them up again once she's done with the Cypher, especially if she's not first chase. She can just go crazy on the Cyphers all around the map, and there's nothing you can do about it. So she is one of the strongest decoders in the game, by accident. But that was a big thing when she first started getting added to the, like, meta, after her reworks. That was a big thing, was that Cypher Rush was suddenly so much worse because all of these dancers were just kind of going around, plopping a box down, immediately they get a decoding buff, where they didn't previously have one. So, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, Patient and Aeroplanist are both kind of Mercenary stand-ins, but Mercenary has a 25% decoding debuff. Patient doesn't have a decoding debuff, or I believe Patient has a slight decoding debuff when decoding with women who are not psychologists, but, like, come on, really? And Aeroplanist actually has a 2% decoding buff, which isn't much, but, it's still 2% faster than every other survivor. But we are going to see a Dream Witch coming out here, which I feel like is a little bit risky, especially since ZQ was definitely expecting that. And how do I know ZQ was expecting that? Mechanic. You would not play a mechanic against a gamekeeper. That's really just not going to go well for you. It's just not going to go well. Playing mechanic in most circumstances is not going to go well, but this is a pretty traditional. Honestly, it reminds me of, like, Korea Koa 4 comps with that Dancer. Just because Dancer is there, Korea was the first region to use the Dancer in competitive scenes before her reworks. MS, I'm so sexy. Miss you. But yeah, we are seeing, I believe actually, I need to check. But this is pretty much a Koa 4 team, which is funny because I was just talking about Koa 4, but, like, Dream Witch, forward, mechanic, you have, technically immersive. I thought I'm So Sexy is on Cat. Yeah, okay, yes, I remember. Yeah, it was I'm So Ovo, I think, last year too, possibly the year before. I know there were only I'm So Sexy for 1 year. Or maybe 2 years, but I think they got censored pretty fast, which is funny considering we're looking at SXY on the screen right now, but I don't think it's actually, well, they don't read it as sexy, so maybe it's okay. Or they're just being cheeky about it. But either way, getting into things, GR has the advantage here. We're going off a win in the first half, but we've already found Mechanic spot. We're just gonna go ahead and ignore that and continue on to Mechanic, which, not the worst strategy in the world. I mean, especially for a Dream Witch, it's a little bit difficult to, stop, down the bot, keep going. But yeah, slightly inconvenient there to have the bot already on the field, but changing targets? No, we're going to just waste out that hook from ZB and just stay on Mechanic. But SXY on Mechanic here is actually pretty interesting. SXY is the rescuer. Yeah, SXY is the rescue main of ZQ. So having, going from characters that are built for kiting to mechanic is a little bit of a stretch, but ZQ tends to know what they're doing. But forcing out the leech hit here from Knee, a little bit risky here on Knee's part. You really do not want to get that first hit on a leech. Because as we're seeing here, Spawn Follower still has to catch up. We're in a slow box area as well. SXY just has so much room to contain. We're about 1:25 in. Patroller is going to come out though, but it looks like, yeah, Son S is coming in with a long stun here. Doesn't look like that really went to much effect though. And yeah, SXY is just going to go down. Did that hit a leech, or did Son S just... Oh dear. Yeah, so Son S has effectively rendered forward a raw kiter. Cause that ball, I don't think that ball has enough on it for even a short stun. It might have enough for a very short stun, but you really cannot use that to do much with. But we're getting out our second patroller here on ZB coming for the rescue. And ZB actually does have Tide Turner. Nicely done with a patroller, though, using the patroller to make sure that or it gave Nia enough time to break that box. And we're just going to get the hit in on SXY. It also makes it so ZB cannot body block. So yeah, very, very nice use of the patroller here. We're going to get a hit in on Regesi, it looks like. Why was I saying ZB there? That's my bad. I thought that was music boxes. That is not music boxes. But Regesi did have Tide. Yeah, SXY down once again. Bot is still on the field, though. This is something important to note, is that we're just able to decode merrily away in between these chairs. Or it looks like... Let's see. Oh, hello! I don't know what this means, but hello? Yeah. Yeah, ZB is going to take a hit there. We're getting a lot of distributed hits out on this team, and this is really, we're looking at kind of Dreamwitch snowball tactic here. SXY down on final chair. We still have the ball out, but that's really only going to be able to get a couple more % of decoding before, that just runs out. But yeah, hello everybody. Thank you all for the follows as well. Yeah, I don't think I've ever been rated before. It's kind of exciting. But yeah, SXY returning back to the manor here. Cypher progress honestly looking pretty good though. We've got 90%, 97% as well. Basically one Cypher remaining. Of course, it is one Cypher remaining against the Dreamwitch. That being said, it's one Cypher remaining against the Dreamwitch, against a Dreamwitch against 3 people remaining on the field. Dreamwitch leeches are removed much faster the fewer people that are remaining. We're basically at Prime Cypher here. We haven't been able to return to that 90% Cypher, but... yeah, the moment that they're able to return to that, they're pretty much set. This is looking like a draw, which is all that GR needs to win the round. Unless CQ is able to get... yeah, I mean, yeah, if ZQ is able to get a 3-man escape here, then they can continue the tie, but GR, all Knee needs is 1 elimination here, so that's really what we're going to be aiming for. Cypher is primed, and it doesn't look like we have a leech in that area, so ZB is just going to be able to contain here. Looks like we are not quite going to be able to get this down just yet. Blink still in cooldown. But it really is a matter of time before the Cypher pop. And they're pretty much set. Yeah, that Cypher is immediately going to pop. Nicely done getting the leech to hit instead of the main body. That is going to force Knee to change targets, or at the very least, place a new leech and wait for the spawn follower to catch up. Not so easy to do that. So gate is already almost open. If ZB actually kiting very close to the dungeon here, if they're able to get out, this could be another tied match. But ZB just going to get caught right away from the dungeon and not going to be able to crawl to that in time. So this round is going to go to GR. If I can update that here. Yes, that's going to be... Oh, I don't know why I put a draw for round 1. Yeah, GR with 3 points in round 1. And we're going to have a tie for the second half. There we go. All right, numbers are in order there, but yeah, I mean that's just very unfortunate for well, a draw is a draw, you know, and a draw is not a bad result, but it's unfortunate in the context of not being able to get, you know, that extra elimination in round 1. Dongshan just getting a little bit tripped up with the gamekeeper, and just overextending really. And that's the main thing, you know. Overextension, it kills completely. And it's unfortunate to see Dongshan kind of falling victim to it as well, you know, because Dongshan is the top of the top. But I feel like it's less highlighting a problem with Dongshan and more highlighting a problem with the meta overall, because every hunter is struggling like this. Alf is struggling like this on Zeta. All of the hunters are, you know, just kind of racing to keep up. We saw Aka getting tripped up in Japan qualifiers as well. You know, and these are the cream of the crop. These are the hunters that have been playing since basically the beginning of the game, and they've been honing their skills for 5-6 years now. And they're getting, you know, kind of beaten up by the meta. But speaking of beating up here, heading into round 3, we're going to have finally an Antiquarian let out of the ban jail. And picked first here, we're going to have Arms Factory as well. Very, very good map to use Antiquarian on. And we're going to have a Mercenary as well as a Patient. For our bans here, interesting bans. We're going to see a Seer. Oh, okay, Seer and Dancer, you know, you see those bans every day. Novelist and Professor being banned. We're going to see Explorer locked in as our final pick. But yeah, Novelist and Professor being banned here. Dongshan's cooking something. And I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's something. It smells a little weird though. Yeah, but smart of GR to ban Dreamwitch instead of Gamekeeper. You know, they were able to 3 escape the Gamekeeper before. They can 3 escape the Gamekeeper again. They're confident against that Gamekeeper. Now that can definitely hurt. Arms Factory is a good map for Gamekeeper. It's fairly open. There's a lot of windows to get trapped off. There's also a lot of windows to get hooked off. You know, it's easy to hide traps on Arms Factory. I play Bane a little bit, but Arms Factory is really one of those maps where you can kind of place a few traps at the beginning of the game and then they'll kind of come back and help later. Pretty reliably. Yeah, we are going to go with Gamekeeper. I don't know. Honestly, I feel like we might... no, because you need a Win Hunter. You need a Win Hunter here. Gamekeeper, I would say, is the best option, but it's just a little bit risky, you know, because GR is obviously very, very confident against the Gamekeeper. If a survivor wants a hunter out of you, it's a really good time to not play that hunter. But yeah, I feel like it is what it is. It's a rock in a hard place. You know, the rock being the fact that Gamekeeper is at the top of the meta, the hard place being that Dreamwitch and Opera Singer are both banned. But it is what it is. But it's not the worst comp to go against. You can get a lot of damage on the board because none of these survivors have a way to tank chip damage. So there's that going for Dongshan. Yeah, with no healers here, no barmaid, no psychologist. There's no anti-chip damage to worry about, but Explorer Cypher Rush is not to be trifled with. Antiquarian Harassment as well, and Mercenary, obviously tank. Mercenary can struggle a little bit just because of that chip damage coming into play, but it's not the end of the world for a Mercenary. He can still pretty reliably rescue unless Heart, like, comically scuffs the rescue, but yeah, it's going to come down more to Dongshan's ability to really kind of harness the Gamekeeper. And that's it. But heading into this, ZQ needs to win this round. If they tie or lose this round, it's going to go to GR. Ideally here we're looking at Dongshan 4K. Will that happen? We'll see. Already placing a trap here. It looks like we are carrying trump card Detention and Blink. So pretty standard on the layout here. And it looks like we're going to actually find Mercenary first. It's a little bit risky. Mercenary, not a great first chase. Especially, I mean, it's an okay first chase. It's not the worst thing in the world, especially for a Gamekeeper, because you can kind of hook out of those elbow pads. But the problem with Gamekeeper being first chase, or with Mercenary being first chase against a Gamekeeper, is that you don't have that chip damage to work with. Dongshan walking directly into a pallet stun as well. That's just a little bit unfortunate. Dongshan using the blink here just to get a little bit of distance. Not quite able to hit Heart there either. Heart, unfortunately, not able to get that elbow pad off in time. That would have been crazy if Heart was able to do an elbow pad there, but I understand why he didn't activate them, because he was also equally likely to get hit out of it and waste the elbow pad. So yeah, that's nice discipline on Heart there. Unfortunate for Dongshan that he doesn't have Blink here just yet, but beautiful hook dodge there from Heart. Just keeping up this containment. Dongshan, unfortunately, not having Insolence here hurts a little bit. I feel like Gamekeeper is best run with Insolence. Already, this is a full 3-cipher kite here. This is what happens when you chase a Mercenary first, people. But nice Terror Shock on the window there. A little bit of a misstep from Heart. That is going to be our first down here. But 2 ciphers remaining. We're only 2 minutes into the match. We've got 2 ciphers remaining. They haven't started their final cipher yet, but also there's an Explorer. So that cipher has been started. We're seeing that Explorer is digging for pages right now. Nice discipline here from AK, just going to wait for that basic hit to go through, and we can continue the containment. Now, chip damage is in play, so Mercenary is in a little bit more danger, especially without the ow. I just smacked my journal, but yeah, especially without having any resources there. It's a little bit harder for Heart, but switching targets here onto AK, we're going to go for that chair, and I am very glad that you were excited about Gamekeeper and Koa. There's going to be a lot more of that. Gamekeeper is literally becoming I would say, second most picked hunter after Opera Singer. If Opera Singer is banned, expect Gamekeeper or Dream Witch. Maybe Hermit, maybe Wax Artist, depending on the map, but Gamekeeper is, you know, if you have missed seeing Molten Hound, you will never miss seeing Molten Hound again, because, and I am not complaining about this, I love watching Gamekeeper, and I love Molten Hound, so this is beautiful for me, and I'm glad it's beautiful for you too. I'm also a huge Bane fan, so yeah, it's great, it's fun, it's a fun development that I really wasn't expecting, but it makes sense when you think about it, because of the you can hook spam. We're going to see Dongshan get that started right here. Unfortunately, we do have 1 cipher remaining. Nice on the fall hit, though. We're going to get a chip in on Sazai there. And just going to go for that rescue. Dongshan might be able to drop here again. We are going to be able to get Heart, but ooh, I feel like we should have stayed on a Heart here. Oh, but going for the lasso or not the lasso, the hook, and that's going to be a down. Nicely done there. But this is still looking like maybe we can make this into a draw. We can make this into a draw, probably. Going for Heart here is likely not going to last very long, but Hart is also in a very good area. Dongshun missing that hook through the double window there. It is possible. I've seen it happen, or I've done it actually, but yeah, not an easy hook to get. Going for more of this dash again, kind of seeing the opera singer coming out in this style. I especially what you know where you see opera singer is right there in that kind of extra hook. You see a lot of gamekeepers who are a lot of gamekeepers who play opera singer do that extra hook in the outside to kind of circle around. It's the same way that opera singer moves. It's very interesting. But yeah, unfortunately, with Patient able to self-heal, Hart just taking too much time to get down, that's going to be a 3-man escape there for GR. And yeah, that's just unfortunate there. And that is why you do not chase the rescuer first, especially not a mercenary, because worst case scenario, you know, Merc can still spam 3 elbow pads. Merc can always just spam 3 elbow pads and get a bunch of distance and then go down immediately. But that's still 3 elbow pads worth of time. And we saw there, you know, Hart still knows how to kite. And that's it makes it that much harder to chase a mercenary first. When the mercenary can actually rock kite pretty damn well. Yeah, we're gonna see that 167 seconds of containment here, and barely any containment on the rest of the team. We're going to see a ton of decoding on the rest of the team as well. So already that is, this is just the perfect match here for GR, because you have 4 here. I'm gonna rewind because I actually want to break this down. You have 4 survivors here. 3 of them, you know, 2 of them can decode immediately on the outside of the match. The 3rd survivor, an explorer, can just gather password pages and get a bunch of decoding that way, and get them ahead by a ton. And then you have mercenary. Mercenary can still decode, but mercenary, 25% decoding debuff can hurt a lot. So, yeah. I also wish he had shared patient. The thing is, though, and I actually, let me see, because I didn't quite catch if he had used trump card. I'm actually going to go back and check here. Let's see. Yeah, so that, we had blink here by the end of the match. Oh, a little bit too far. By the end of the match, okay, we did have teleport, but he didn't teleport to the gate. So I think chairing patient immediately and then going to the gate would have been the best move. Now the problem, I guess, you know, there's still the risk of them going back and rescuing patient, but yeah, no, and that I think he did that. I think he didn't quite do that, but he wasn't able to pressure the gate. The thing with Bane is that his strongest asset is his gate pressure and his cipher pressure. He can trap off the gate, trap off the ciphers. There's nothing you can do about it. But he has to have the time to be able to trap off places. If you don't play, and that's the thing, watching Dongshun, you can see that he's only playing Bane for the dash. And this is, again, you know, it's kind of the same thing that we're seeing with Opera Singer, but repeated on another hunter. But instead of it being, you know, Opera Singer is just incredibly weird and hard to play, and people are struggling with that, it's that people aren't taking full advantage of Gamekeeper's kit and just using it for the infinite dash and not using it for, you know, the traps, not using it for the map pressure. Because Gamekeeper is a very, very versatile hunter. There's a ton of different ways that you can play him. But we're seeing him played like Opera Singer, and that doesn't quite work because he's not Opera Singer. He's still Gamekeeper. The main thing, I think, the main difference between Gamekeeper and Opera Singer is that a lot of Opera Singers will bank on having the flip back. They bank on that. So when you don't have the flip, it's much more difficult to, you know, perfect your kind of routes, because you can't, you know, oops, I didn't mean to go there, I'm gonna flip back, now I'm back, you know, in the right spot, or I can cut off survivors that way, etc., etc. But yeah, it's playing Gamekeeper like Opera Singer, I feel like, is what's just kind of beating these hunters down. But, you know, it's a learning curve. It's a learning curve. And that is something that's been it's been fascinating to watch. Oops, that's the wrong thing. It's been fascinating to watch. But it's also been kind of frustrating. Because a lot of hunters this tourney season have been learning the hunters kind of live on stage, which has been it's been interesting to watch, but it's also been very frustrating because you see, you know, Dongshin Gamekeeper. Dongshin Lizard as well kind of works like this, where it's like, it's very obvious that Dongshin is a Dream Witch main, a Geisha main, and an Opera Singer main, and plays chip hit and double hit hunters the exact same way. But knee locking out the Seer and the Batter here to start off our second half, and we're going to see ZQ lock in the Prospector and the Priestess. Priestess on Arms Factory. And this is, God, I love watching ZQ pick survivors because you can never really predict it. They need the force. Yeah, this is a 4-man escape comp. This is called We Have a Plan Here. We're opening up the file. We're taking out the plan of attack. And yeah, first officer coming in after the mercenary ban, that's pretty given. But Seer, Batter, Cheerleader, and Mercenary being banned here, would not expect a novelist. You would not. Priestess on Arms Factory, I think, is the part that's scaring me the most, because Priestess is not very good on Arms Factory. Not because she's not good, but because there's just not a lot of spots where she can really be utilized. Her portal placement, she has like maybe 3 or 4 portals that she can place on Arms Factory. There's one really, really strong portal that we saw. What was it in? I think it was somewhat recent. Was it IVS? It was either IVS or it was it last year? Was it last year's COA? I feel like I'm just remembering it being a lot more recent than it was. But yeah, it was MS. It was MS Priestess on MS always does the weirdest strategies, and it always works. Yeah, it was the portal through the wall. There's like one rock. Yes, it was against Naiad. I remember this now. And yeah, we are seeing the Gamekeeper once again. I honestly, like, I just wanna tally up the number of Gamekeepers, because I feel like he might be the most picked hunter. Or he might end up being the most picked hunter this year. Which, you know what that could mean? That could mean Bane COA champion skin. If whatever team wins COA this year wanted a Bane champion skin, that's very likely to be possible. Which is crazy to think about. But Bane has been getting so many skins recently. It's been so nice. Makes me a little bit sad that they're only using Molten Hound here, because I really like Ormolu Deer, which is probably kind of explanatory because my name is Bones. Gee, I wonder why you like the Animal Skull Bane skin. It's not like you were talking about that for like 3 years before the skin released, giving Bane a skull head. But anyway, back on track here. ZQ needs a 4 escape. As soon as Ni eliminates 1 survivor, GR wins. Because they won round 2. And they won round 2 and they got a match. When that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense why Molten Hound is the only one played, because you can see that the field of vision is so much better. That's so funny. I mean, I thought about it a little bit, but like I usually only think about that for like Dream Witch and why Paper Queen isn't played, which also makes me really sad. But that's so funny. That's actually so funny. Yeah, anyway, ZQ needs a 4-man escape here. So they're gonna get weird with it. Getting into things, though, we're going to see ZB taking the first chase here. Possibly. Looks like Ni may actually not have caught wind of that Priestess. Is going to backtrack into the middle of the map, heading up on SXY on the first officer. So back to our rescuer routes. I would be a little worried here if I were Ni about chasing SXY again, but it looks like that may have been just to, breaking the portal right as ZB comes through it, and we're going to get a hit, but no! Nice on the pallet stun there from ZB. Yeah, I was going to say, chasing SXY again after last match is probably not what Ni wants to do, but just going to waste that pocket watch there. But beautiful series of plays here from both ZB and Ni. Just a complete chess game there. We're going to get a hit in through that portal. ZB unfortunately losing the mind game. But heading into the factory, SXY is going to be forced off that Cypher, which is a little bit unfortunate. But it looks like SXY actually trying to break that trap. Oh, but getting caught in the trap inside the pallet? Oh, wow. I think it, it must have registered him on the close side of the pallet, so he was able to get that hit. But wow. Yeah, it's just an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye for an eye, just back and forth with these teams. It's so much fun. But Ni being forced to change targets back onto SXY because ZB has long since left the area. Was able to just rotate away and has been fully healed up as well. Really no skin off anybody's back to heal up a Priestess because she has a healing buff. She heals very, very quickly. But yeah, Ni just trapping off both of these pallets here. And it looks like Sun S is coming in with the magnet support. It looks like, yeah, we were able to get Ni in there. Oh, beautiful! Unfortunately, that's not going to be able to do a pallet stun. Sun S. Oh, actually getting stuck in that trap. Going for the basic hit. That's very, very dangerous here. That's very dangerous here for ZQ. And, but Sun S not giving up yet. Just going to continue with this harassment. Nicely done pulling SXY free again. He is going to go down, but this is a lot of wasted time. It looks like we are somewhat taking advantage of it. We have 3 ciphers remaining. Those ciphers are coming along fairly healthily, actually pretty healthily considering this is our first chair. We already have all 3 remaining ciphers started and actively being worked on. Priestess is in the area for this basement rescue, which is really good for ZQ. And this is why, they're not afraid of this basement chair, which is possibly the scariest thing for Ni right now, because survivors not being afraid of the basement is not a position that you want to be put in. Sun S unfortunately going to get caught with the chip damage of that hook and is going to go straight down. But SXY has been rescued and is being healed up. So we're going to have a fully healed rescuer to go into this basement, still having the Priestess support in the basement as well. So right now, it's not the end of the world that there's only one person decoding. Ni going to go ahead and break that portal, but are they going to use another portal to get down into the basement? Because first officer can get into the basement pretty, whatever. Yeah, we're going to just go into the basement the long way. SXY going to get hit as well. Hasn't used the pocket watch yet, so we're going to see, okay, it looks like Sun S is going to take that hit, but already we've almost got a prime cipher. The cipher rush is absolutely insane. Absolutely insane here. We're not even 5 minutes into the match, and that's the Cypher Pop. They're just going to go straight for it. They need to get this 4-man escape. Both the gates are not being opened yet, though, so it's a little bit risky to pop the Cypher so soon, especially when there isn't an exit gate that's being worked on. I would say they're going to get there in just a moment, though. Oh, and Knee getting that blink on SXY. That is going to be a down here. Knee sending the hook into cooldown, but they do have that gate being worked on here. It's going to be pretty much open by the time that SXY is shared. And if we look here, Knee only has detention, so there's no trump card to work with, no confined space. I would say he's probably working with just a lot of those external traits. So yeah, Giant Claw definitely had a lot of that going on. I would say probably Berserker as well. But this is a very dangerous position to be in. Novelist still has Tide Turner. They're going to have to be very careful. They're not going to be able to wait out detention here, but Novelist has Tide Turner. Priestess is here for support. Prospector is here for support. We're going to see Novelist going in for it, going to take the hit, but... Oh, Prospector coming in for the support. This is what I meant when I said this was a 4-man escape team. Priestess with the support portals as well. It's going to be a 4-man escape against all odds there. Absolutely incredible gameplay from ZQ. And this is one of my favorite Survivor strategies, is when teams need a 4-man, a lot of the times they will just kind of go absolutely just balls to the wall insane, and just play like madmen, and it works. And it works. But that is just, you know, you look at the score. You look at the score here. You've got a drawn first round. You have GR winning the second round. You have consistent draws, but not consistent wins. And we're going to see the 4-man escape animation here, which is just, it's so disrespectful. That is so... I love that they do it, because there is also a 4-man elimination animation for Hunters, but the 4-man escape with Novelist, just no animation sliding across the stage there, it's just disrespectful. But yeah, that's 5-0 on that final round here. Just what a way to bring it back. And that's why ZQ is just such a good team. I worry for them because I worry for Dongshan, and Dongshan is the reason why DOU5 won last Carla. Even as we were kind of starting to get into the Survivor side in this, it wasn't as bad as it was this year, which is weird because we were all saying the game was incredibly Survivor sided last year. It's worse now, somehow. And by somehow, I mean we added journalist, cheerleader, aeroplanist, you know. But I feel like we're on like the tipping scale right now is going very, like, there's a rock on the seesaw on the Survivor side. But and that rock is the fact that, Puppeteer as well, you know. The rock is the fact that none of the survivors have been nerfed. But all of that being said, so that is FPX.ZQ qualifying for COAVII 7. So I believe, I actually don't remember what bracket they're in. But I would say for prediction purposes, placing ZQ high, definitely a yes. I don't remember who else they're in a bracket with. I'll probably go over that at some point specifically, but yeah, 12-13 there. 12-13 on the score. That is just. Oh, are they in Group A? Group A is the craziest, absolute crazy. Because I know it was Wolves, Zeta, was it ZQ, and then it was DOU5 and MRC. Because I know it's DOU5, MRC, Zeta, and Wolves. And I don't. is the 5th team ZQ? Or no, not Wolves, it's GR. Because Wolves is in the bracket with Before You. I remember this because I was saying Before You is gonna have to go against Wolves again. Yes, GG and GR. ZQ is in a different bracket, but I know they're also in a pretty heavy bracket. Are they in D? Oh, I'll check this later. Jesse getting best deduction as novelist there. Is okay, yeah. ZQ being with the GHAWG Axis Wave Weibo bracket. That one's gonna be a bloodbath. That bracket I think is. So my predictions for Group D specifically, and I guess I'll just go over predictions now. I'll probably go over them again later, so that's not like at a random point in the middle of my stream. But my predictions for Group D is, I would say, I think Weibo might be in first. It's gonna be Weibo, ZQ, and then AWG is going to qualify, but they're going to be covered in blood by the end of it. You know what I mean? Like I think they're gonna make it over Axis Wave, but it's not gonna be pretty. It's really not gonna be pretty. And we don't talk about GH, but yeah, that it's gonna be a bloody bracket, but like it's pretty cut and dry for me. And I'm excited to see more AWG. If this is your first time here, AWG is one of my favorite teams of all time. They're in the Japan bracket. But I am a big fan of AWG. But all of that being said, we still have another match to get through, so I am going to take a brief break for about a minute. That stun there, I didn't realize that stun was against Regessi. I'm just gonna go back here before I put it on break and then go to the next matchup, which is going to be ZS.Lin versus DOU5. But that stun here is into Novelist. You see Novelist running behind to get that stun in. And that is just insane teamwork. So yeah. Not going to be 10 minutes, but I will put it on for 2 minutes, and get us into the next match. So don't go anywhere, but please go to the bathroom, get a drink, and I will be back shortly. All right, we are back, and for our next matchup, it's going to be DOU5, aka reigning COAVII champions, versus ZS.Lin. The interesting thing here, for a little bit of background, during the earlier stages of China qualifiers, I'm actually going to just hit play here so I'm not wasting time. But during the early stages of China qualifiers, there were a lot more teams that were in the running. They had, I think, I don't remember the exact numbers, but there were, a bunch of teams from IVL that were already established professional teams, and they also had a few amateur teams, or I don't know. I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure they're amateur teams, or at least non-professional. Because Guagua I think has been around the ring before. What I'm saying is that ZS.Lin, and one other team that we'll look at, I think I think it's Monday that I have it on my schedule. ZS.Lin is not a pro team, but they made it into the qualifiers. They made it to this stage of the qualifiers. So yeah, that's how crazy things are, that multiple pro Chinese teams were knocked out of the running before even making it into the finals of the qualifying brackets. So that's how crazy things are right now. But yeah, we're seeing here the DOU5 team. I think that Yan is currently the only hunter. We've seen Musk a couple times before, but Yan is pretty much DOU5's only hunter right now. But YUY, Silversha, Chen, Nan, and Mochen, I don't think we've seen yet. Or if we have, I haven't noticed. But yeah, DOU5 has had a pretty solid and consistent lineup. But as we're seeing, obviously, Novelist has been added, Aeroplanist has been added, and yeah, teams have just been going nuts with the new characters, and it reminds me of something that I was thinking about for a while. So when Novelist started getting picked in tournament, there was kind of obviously there was an uproar over it because it was Novelist, but it wasn't that surprising to me, and this is because back a few months ago, when I was doing Checkmate, which you can find on YouTube, IDV Checkmate Tournament, I did a bunch of commentating for that. That was an indie tournament with a lot of NAU teams. Super fun. The first one that I did was my first time commentating for anything. So it holds a near and dear place in my heart. But during the last iteration of that tournament, it was a team that was basically Fusion, but not. It was Fusion, but a slightly different team setup. They were asking if they could use Novelist. This was right after the Novelist rework, so the rules had been, Novelist is banned. We're gonna consult because of the rework, if he's allowed to be used, but right now it's no, because the rework had just happened. And they had asked, can we use Novelist? And we were like, well, no. I forgot to update the rounds and everything, so please bear with me. But I'm also going to put the stream up ahead, because... Oh, never mind, it's going to do it for me. But basically, NAU teams had already been showing interest in using Novelist in a tournament setting pretty early on, so I was suspicious. I was like... I had to focus to type, but I was like, because the rule was if the other team agrees, then yeah, go ahead and use Novelist. And I'm thinking, why would you agree to use it, for your opponent to use a character that is currently banned, hasn't been seen in tournament before? They really want to use Novelist, and it's that's a little bit suspicious. I feel like they're cooking something there. And as it was, every team was cooking something with those Novelists. So it's been fascinating to see Novelist in tournament. But I'm glad that they were able to rework him to be allowed, because the reason why Novelist wasn't allowed in tournament wasn't so much that he was buggy. I mean, he definitely was super buggy. But it was mostly because COA you're not allowed to play for somebody else. It's hugely frowned upon. It's why a lot of, or an entire team plus one player from Southeast Asia were suspended from COA because they were found to be be playing on each other's accounts, or it was like other people were playing for the Abyss matches, and that was caught, immediately booted from COA. That's how serious it is. So Novelist being able to technically play for other players, just immediate boot. That's why he was banned for so long. So I'm glad that they were able to rework him. I kind of miss old Novelist because I thought the outline ability is just cool. When you could swap with other survivors, I thought it was interesting. I also thought that it was a fun skill. I like the way it is now. And I think it's been very fun seeing it in tournament. But it's also, I'm nostalgic for Orpheus being so buggy that he could surrender from the Hunter's game. I also miss Time of Reunion, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, going through the DOU5 survivors here, I think I missed YUY. But Silverja here, I would say if we're going in order, yeah, okay, this is going to be Chen. We've got the Acrobat and the Patient coming up. DOU5 does, most China teams, apart from ZQ, tend to stick pretty heavily to meta. Which is, it's because it's China, that they made the meta. They created the meta. That most other servers kind of base themselves on, especially NAU really tends to base on China meta. A little bit Japan meta as well, but mostly China, just because that's the standard. We're going to see Nan here with the Novelist right there, as well as Psychologist. But yeah, China meta is meta because it's meta. It's a legacy thing. It's a training thing. I do love that they have the coaches there. I really do. And that the coaches are always in suits. It's very. I like the formality of it. And it looks like, yeah. So the other thing with ZS.Lin is that because they're not a pro team, a lot of their players weren't able to make it in person. So yeah, you see them playing remotely here. I think a couple of their survivors were able to make it, like one or two. But yeah, their Hunter's unfortunately not on the premises. We do see Wax Artist here as his chosen character, with a 21.4% win rate, which is not affected by draws. So 21% win rate can also that's affected by draws. And it doesn't necessarily mean, obviously it doesn't mean that ZS.Lin has been losing, but it does mean that their Hunter department struggles a little bit. Not as much. It means that their survivor side is clearly much stronger, or much more consistently formidable, than their Hunter side. So, which is kind of the case with most teams, especially the case with non-pro teams, because it's just, categorically easier to win as survivor because you have 3 other people to depend on and yourself. While Hunter, it is just you. If you have a bad match, you have a bad match. Survivor, you have 3 other people to make up for you having a bad match. So yeah, that is why it's so easy for the game to kind of tilt into being survivor-sided, just because, when you're working with 4 against 1, the faction that has 4 survivors tends to have 4 survivors that can make up for each other's mistakes. But getting into the map bans and picks here, looks like we're going to ban Ever Sleeping Town from DOU5. ZS.Lin is going to put us on Arms Factory. We're going into the first half of round 1. I love the stage. And I just want to point that out. I love the stage that they have set up here. I'm not quite sure what it's supposed to be. I think that the giant face is supposed to be the statue from the trailer, like the Metropolis statue, but it looks sick as hell. I don't really care about the logistics of it, but yeah. Here we're going to see the Acrobat coming out again here with the Patient, which is a much more standard thing, Acrobat, coming out here because it is Arms Factory. And we're going to see the Mercenary and the Seer both being able to make their appearances here. We've got from JXY's bands, Gardener, Coordinator, Antiquarian, and Dancer. None of those bands I disagree with, really. Those are all very, very strong bands. The problem is that we're still in round 1, and even then, I feel like we need more Survivor bands, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, as we're seeing more and more, the amount of Survivor bands is really just not enough to take everybody off the table. The fact that, especially now that they've reworked the band pick system, you end up seeing more characters because, like, you know, right here, obviously DOU5 didn't really take advantage of it, but, like, there's just not room to ban all of the survivors. And you have a recyclable seer now on DOU5 because JXY was countering the first 2 picks with, you know, the reason why you would ban Gardener and Coordinator first rather than Seer, rather than Mercenary, Priestess first is because you already know that the first 2 survivors that the survivors pick are going to be banned for the remainder of the rounds. So it puts them at risk. You know, do we want to pick something like the Seer first and then lock the Seer so we can never pick Seer again, which also saves the Hunter a ban? Or do we pick something that's a little bit more, you know, disposable, like Patient, who we can just play Mercenary or Aeroplanist instead? Acrobat, we can also play Mercenary or Aeroplanist instead. You know, there's so many backups for backups that it covers the first 2 picks get banned system pretty solidly. So basically, I feel like we should have more bans. Maybe even, like, you can never play the same comp again, but I feel like people would, you know, not like that at all. It would work, but it would make things a lot more difficult for the Survivor side, which wouldn't be a bad thing. But all of that being said, my thoughts on insane game balance aside, we're looking at Patient with borrowed... we got borrowed time across the board. And looks like broken windows across the board as well, with the exception of Mercenary going to be carrying Tide Turner, as is typical. But heading into the first half, we're going to see that Opera Singer... honest to God, I glazed over Opera Singer. Like, I didn't even see her. I didn't even see her get picked because it didn't register for me. I'm so used to seeing Opera Singer get locked in that it was just like, okay. But we are going to see Patient take this first chase. Very excited to see the Koa skins have been added. So that does mean on the very, very slim and unlikely and possibly terrible decision side of things, we could see I kind of lost where I was going with that. But anyway, yeah, we're going to use that owl, just kind of waste it out here, unfortunately. JXY getting the first hit in, but we're over a minute into the match, which is why I was talking about nothing for so long, because we're over a minute into the match, and that was the first hit. But very relatively quick down, all things considered, you know, being able to get the hit, and then the, it was gonna be about them going Feaster, but I lost that. That went out the window. But yeah, that was going to be about them picking Feaster and showing off the Koa 7 skin. I don't think it's going to happen, and I think it would be a really bad decision if they did. Professor is more likely. We have seen Professor picked before. The problem with Professor is that you can just not hit him. The upside to Professor is that if you can make the Hunter hit you, then he's really effective. Unfortunately, it's very hard to make the Hunter hit you because they just won't do that until they have to, or until the scale is in cooldown. Yeah, we've seen Professor. Professor was more of a popular pick last year. I feel like the Koa skin probably won't make an appearance, but there's never... chances are low, but never zero on that. Nan taking their... DOU5 taking their sweet time, rescuing Nan. YUI coming in for the rescue. pretty healthily. You know, we could have waited until the last possible second, but that just wasn't meant to be. But yeah, we're going to see Patient just going to use the last of those hooks to get, or the second to last of those hooks. We'll see if we're able to fit the last one in. I don't think we are. But yeah, Patient is dead, going back to the manor. But we're at 2 ciphers remaining, but they seem to have kind of stalled on that cipher progress. And to be fair, their cipher progress was relatively slow to begin with. We were over a minute into the match, and they still had about 60%. They only had about 60% on the first 3 ciphers. So, that does mean a lot of rotation. That is why it took so long to get that first hit, because Nan just continued to kite through areas, which of course forces the survivors to move away from their ciphers, which is why the cipher decoding was so slow. But at this point in the match, they need to be able to recuperate some of that progress. But nice little play for play there from Chen and JXY, using the ball against the teleport back and just dropping that pallet there to gain a little bit of distance. Going to use a firebomb here, make it so that JXY can't dash through this area. Nicely done there from Chen, forcing JXY to just kind of walk the long way. Not able to teleport to that shadow. Just a little bit of an unfortunate corner to get stuck in. Nan is eliminated already, but with the amount of time that Chen has been able to waste here, those ciphers, we're going to have a double prime cipher. Which is, okay, yeah, they are going to pop one of them, so that final cipher is just going to be at 98% here. Nicely primed. And Chen has pretty much just free reign to continue this chase. It's up to them when they want to pop. Going to be now, because Chen has just gotten downed. But yeah, and YUY already at the opposite gate here. And Chen is actually kiting around dungeon, so we could see, looks like JXY using the blink to hopefully get a little bit of distance closer, but that's not going to be the case. Chen dodging that hit just by a hair. Are they going to be able to make it out the gate? Chen crawling to dungeon, but it's not going to open fast enough. They weren't able to get out the gate in time. And that's going to be a draw, unfortunately, but so close to being that clutch dungeon escape. What a way to start us off, though. Yeah, that was just, that Cypher Rush, and that's what I was saying. That Cypher Rush can just creep right up on you. Even when they were lagging behind with their ciphers the whole time, just one good kite towards the end of the game can make back all of that progress, especially with accelerated decoding in play. Accelerated decoding, underrated thing that happens, but you can see there just how quickly it was able to just make that cipher progress return. We'll see actually in a moment. And something that I do want to point out here is that on the right here we have Shinami, who is a player for Scars, which is one of the Japan teams that has qualified for COAVII. Yep, you can see right here. Here's the elimination at 2 minutes and 53 seconds into the match. That's our first elimination. Our ciphers were pretty slow back then. 3 minutes and 30 seconds hits, that's when accelerated decoding kicks in. Immediately, 2 ciphers popped, exit gate, game over. Accelerated decoding is huge, especially for a team that has a mercenary on it. It basically, I don't remember exactly the number that accelerated decoding increases decoding by, but it's significant enough to pretty much, take off the merc from the edge of that decoding. So yeah, just very, very nicely played there from DOU5. And just the key with Opera Singer is to make her overextend. That's really it. I'm not gonna fast forward as much here because I do want to get through the players. But yeah, you really do just have to make the Opera Singer overextend, which is not easy on a map like Arms Factory. And I guess that's kind of the strategy for every hunter, is just make them overextend themselves. But especially for Opera Singer, because there's really no other way to counter her, other than to make herself stretch herself thin. Make her stretch herself thin. But yeah. Yeah, that's rough. Is it a full 25%? That's so... Ugh. So yeah, that completely negates Mercenary's decoding progress, or decoding debuff. because Mercenary has a 25% decoding debuff. So Mercenary post-accelerated decoding is decoding, benefit of the doubt, close to a normal survivor, if not exactly with no decoding debuff at a normal survivor pace. So that is, in my opinion, it's kind of ridiculous, but, who am I to say anything? Yeah. Seriously, a whole 25%. Okay, now they're gonna do the overlays. All right, so we're gonna have Jasun on the rescuing. I haven't actually seen that many ZS.Lin matches, so I'm excited to see them because we do see them quite a bit in these brackets as we go through. It's gonna be Lin Yuan on Aeroplanist and Acrobat. It looks like. Guagua, who we have seen Guagua before. I don't remember what team he was on. I think he actually might have been on DOU5 if I'm not. But yeah, I do. The name I recognize. We're going to see Embalmer as well as Acrobat. So 2 Acrobat mains on this team, as well as an Embalmer. And Gui going to be bringing out the Cheerleader as well as Barmaid. So it looks like we're very heavy on support there. And of course, we're going to have our Hunter Yan. And get used to it. Opera singer, gamekeeper. Get used to it. That's how it's gonna look. For the foreseeable future until somebody gets nerfed or somebody gets buffed. I would say, or they add Ivy, except for the fact that I don't think Ivy is going to be that good in tournament. But yeah, we're entering Gamekeeper City for this COAVII season, provided nothing changes. Ivy gets countered by 4-man VC. Ivy's the main issue with Ivy. She's very much a Dream Witch Hunter. So what I've been seeing with her in just my own matches is that hunters who also have a Dream Witch badge, like I'll look at the hunter's account and I'll be like, okay, you have a Dream Witch badge, that's why you played well. Versus the Ivy that doesn't main Dream Witch, you can tell. Because she, like, the way that she works is just so odd. She has, her first kite is bad. If you can kite her at no presence, you basically win. Because her map control struggles the less she's able to branch out, and if she's stuck chasing one survivor, no presence, there's really not as many ways for her to get a lot of traction. So yeah, she gets countered by 4-man VC. She gets countered by one lucky first kite, pretty much. Because her first kite is bad. Yeah. Yup, exactly. If you make her work, she works really, really well. I've had really, really good matches with her, and then as soon as I'm doing badly with her, and I'm like, this is because I don't play Dream Witch. This is because I have no idea how to play Dream Witch. But she makes me want to learn Dream Witch, so I don't know. Maybe we'll have new hunter eras coming this year. Probably not though, because God save you if you're trying to learn a new hunter in this state of the game. But yeah. For our team, because I've talked through this, we're going to have First Officer, Patient, Gardener, and Aeroplanist. Once again, we're looking very, very solid here. Jan's bands were Coordinator, Acrobat, Mercenary, and Dancer. So Opera Singer is safe. Opera Singer is safe. Jan is an Opera Singer main. We could see Gamekeeper, we could see Dream Witch, but I would say Opera Singer is Yep. See, I always try to give a little benefit of the doubt because you never know. Things have gotten weird lately. We've seen round 1 Gamekeeper. We've seen round 1 Wax Artist. We've seen pretty much any round 1 Hunter. I don't think have we seen round 1 Nightwatch? I don't think we've seen round 1 Nightwatch. We've seen round 1 Lizard, for better or for worse, but that was in Japan qualifiers. Round 1s have been getting weird. Or I should say, I feel like I should say they've been getting weird again. Because they used to be like this. It used to be where you wouldn't know who the first hunter was. I mean, there's always been a front runner. Like it was Poland. There were a lot of geishas last year. Dream Witch still. Dream Witch always, but less Dream Witch last year. I feel like Dream Witch is kind of coming back into the meta, which is crazy. Yeah, Night Watch. But I feel like it's never been as overwhelming as Opera Singer. Night Watch was pre-nerf. Night Watch was like that, yeah. But yeah, we're going to have Tide Turner. It looks like on both Yuan and Justin. We're going to have 2 rescuers, and then for Gardener and Patient, we're going to see Broken Windows. So yeah, very standard here. Yan is bringing Blink as well as Trump Card and Detention. It's very cut and dry. You get it down to a science after a certain point. But the meta exists for a reason. The reason why all of the comps look the same is because it works. And once it stops working, they find something else. But getting right into it here, once again, we're looking at an even slate for the first half of the round. And yeah, getting into things. We've already got a Cypher started here, and it looks like Guagua is going to be our first chase, immediately popping out with the hook. Getting quite a bit of distance here on Yan. Yan just going to change targets here. It looks like we might see Yuan. But that's going to be in the factory. So Yan switching targets once again over to Gui here. Heading, and this is not a fun area to chase a survivor in. So Gui having both the area advantage as well as another about 10 or so seconds of that bubble. If Yan hits it now, okay, yeah. So we could have waited the 5 seconds, but Gui was just going to transition over to that pallet. So for better or for worse, we took the hit, get the presence, and just going to continue this kite in the corner with Gui. Now we do have Dash going into cooldown there, unfortunately, but Gui is going to take a hit. We've got 4 ciphers started here. The problem, though, is that Gui had 24% on that cipher before being forced off of it. We're going to see that second bubble coming into play. Nicely done with the pallet vault. Unfortunately, Gui going to take a blink hit here, and is just going to go down. We've got, looks like, yeah, we're working on 3 ciphers. A little bit, you know, they're going pretty healthily. Yeah, I would say being able to get this rescue before half is pretty crucial here. Yan getting a little bit stuck in that corner there. And first officer is coming for the rescue. Looks like he will be able to get here more than on time. That chair is not going too quickly. But yeah, first officer taking a hit, and that chair is going to be rescued. So Gui back on his feet. Not taking a hit there just yet, but unfortunately is going to get caught out here. And we're going to double back for the first officer. Yan looking for a double down here. Very conscious of the way the ciphers are going. But yeah, unfortunately, first officer not quite able to escape the area in time. Yan doubling back, heading for Gui in the corner, is going to just go ahead and fix that chair before it gets to be a problem. Yeah, Gardener. The thing with Gardener is that she really is only used for her bubble. The chair breaking doesn't do much. It has done things before. It's definitely not to be underestimated. However, when she is first chased, she is a very strong kiter, but that area of her kit doesn't tend to go to much use. But Yuan getting caught out a little bit here, but is going to be able to hover right to the chair. Yan doubling back is going to be able to get the hit on the airplane. It's actually going for the double hit here as well. And looks like we do still have sights on Gui, so we're just going to leave Yuan to bleed on the ground there, or at the very least to self-heal. We're still at 3 ciphers remaining. What this does is it makes it so that the survivors can't decode. So there's 2 bodies off the field right now, and Gui about to be sent back to the manor. Yuan as well is not decoding, and it looks like Guagua is also healing. So that is 2 survivors off the field. You only have 3 survivors remaining. You have 3 ciphers to get through. So this is very much, unless they're able to recuperate that cipher rush, we've got accelerated decoding kicking in about now. So that is going to be a major factor. And if they're able to bring this back around, Arms Factory is one of those maps that you can afford to do this on as well. Because it is so small. You know, it takes significantly less time to get from cipher to cipher on Arms Factory than it does on a map like Moonlit. So
just getting behind in ciphers, as we've seen, is not as big of a deal on a map like Arms Factory. But First Officer using the last of that pocket watch just to buy a little bit more time here, circling back around. But is that pallet used yet? Either way, it looks like ZS.Lin is just going to go ahead and exit into the corner. Just trying to waste as much time as possible in this chair. We are also playing First Officer, so that is going to be a lot of time that he can sit on the chair. But we're going to teleport right away and back to Yuan, who can just be... Well, actually, no, we can't leave him to bleed out because he was healed by Guagua. So that does mean that his self-heal is intact in case Yuan decides to slug once again, which wouldn't be the worst idea. For Yuan, it does mean that Yuan is stuck on the ground. And you know, if you're on the ground, you can't decode. But because First Officer was rescued, it is a good idea to go ahead and chair Yuan here. It means that a survivor has to stop decoding, or can't decode and has to come for the chair. But breaking off from the chair, we're looking for First Officer here, and it looks like we did catch sight of where he went. So ZS.Lin getting caught here and doesn't have anything to work with. Is just going to get hit right through that pallet from Yan. I'm gonna say 4-man elimination here. I'm gonna say 4-man elimination. Maybe a 1-man. But the problem with getting a 1-man is that they have to decode the last 2 ciphers. And it's just not... It's not quite looking like that's gonna be the case. But Guagua taking this kite once again here. We've got our second to last cipher about to pop at 97%, unfortunately. It looks like, yeah, we're going to be leaving this chair to the last second. Guagua taking a hit on the way in, and now it's just if Yuan can get to the last cipher in time. Guagua taking a hit to body block. ZS.Lin does still have both pallets to use here, but does need to be careful. Yan did hit him through the first one. So it is, yep, and that is going to be a down before... Oh. Okay, so I would say the 69% cipher is though probably at this chair, which is why Yuan wasn't able to return to it, but that is just a little bit unfortunate. Yeah, to start a cipher from scratch, I would say that it's because this, yeah, the last 2 remaining ciphers that, oh, yeah, Charles is just going to go flying there. This is gonna be that 4-man, unless this could actually be really bad. This could actually be really, really bad for Yan, because both of the ciphers are there, unless... Is the cipher there? Okay, yes, I think it is, and they just weren't able to tap it. Yeah, Guagua taking the chase here, but we've lost sight of First Officer. First Officer can go back for that chair, but I think Yuan might take off before that happens. Guagua's just gonna waste time here. The main thing... Oh my god, ZS.Lin just able to get to that chair in time, rescuing Yuan at almost the last second. So yeah, ZS.Lin not giving up without a fight, which is... They have to fight. I mean, they don't have a choice but to fight here. Getting 4-man eliminated in the first round is... You can come back from it, but it's not a good way to start. You want to at least be able to get to that cipher pop, make sure that you can try to get 1-man out the gate, because a dungeon escape by slugging is virtually impossible. It's happened, it does happen, but it's virtually impossible. You need to get that final cipher decoded, just to get the gates open, or the gates to be able to be open, and then work your end game from there. But without that exit gate open, without that final cipher popped, it's very hard. But yeah, Yuan getting terror shocked on that window. We do still have self-heal. ZS.Lin is the one missing self-heal here. He has not been found yet, but Yan looking in the right area. Are we going to be able to find First Officer? ZS.Lin hiding now. It's just a matter of Yan's instincts heading deeper into the corner. Are we going to be able to spot out First Officer? We're almost at the right barrel. He's so close, and Yan just going right for the swing there, caught just a second of First Officer's trail. Going to be, yeah, no self-heal from Jushin. Yuan does still have self-heal, but Jushin is dead on chair, question mark? Yes. So if Yuan is somehow stealthy enough, but no, Yan's instincts are just going to come through once again, and that is going to be a 4-man elimination in round 1, which is, that's something we haven't seen in quite some time. That's really something we haven't seen in a while, is a Hunter 4-man also in round 1. So that's just great work from Yan. The way that Yan hunts is so, like, smooth, because he's very understated about things. Yep, here is the 4-man elimination animation. All of them in their little chairs taking off. I like it. I feel like it's less disrespectful than the Hunter getting 4 escaped one, because the Hunter 4 escaped one includes, like, the ice slip animation. We saw it with Bane a little bit earlier, but in case you missed it, for those of you such as Joey who has just joined, the Hunter animation, I think, including the ice slip, it just feels like after the survivors run out the gate, the Hunter slips. So yeah, it's so disrespectful that I love it and I hate it, because it's like salt in the wound after a certain point. But yeah, what a way to close out round 1. Yeah, literally. But yeah, just heading in the points here, we're going to have 5 points to DOU5 and a solid 0 to ZS.Lin. So we're putting that at 2-7 here. Looking at the stats, you can just see the accelerated decoding. That match was so drawn out. But yeah, almost 10-minute match there. I think that's the longest match that we've watched today, because all of them have been pretty, like, they've made it to the Cypher Pot pretty smoothly. But yeah, just being able to get, and there's that max deduction points too. Just really a beautiful match there, from Yan. Just very slow and steady. Absolutely slow and steady. But heading into round 2 here, and it does not put ZS.Lin in a great position. It really doesn't, because the problem with being, down by this amount after the first round is that you have to win, or you can draw round 2, but, like, you basically have to win round 2, because it's very hard to come back from that major of a defeat. Because technically speaking, right now, ZS.Lin has no wins against DOU5, because they drew and then they were 4-man. So yeah, there's not a lot of, there's actually no points in their favor right now, because everything has either been matched or overtaken by DOU5's point threshold. But bringing out the Prospector here for our first pick does mean bold things are happening. We're going to see Guagua as well with that Acrobat. I would say Guagua might be playing the Acrobat unless they lock in Embalmer or something. First Officer locked in third, trying to get him in before he's inevitably banned, along with the Mercenary. We have banned Opera Singer as well, so I would say Dream Witch, very likely option here for Yan. We could also see a Gamekeeper, but Chinatown really is a map. Who picked Chinatown? Hold on. I need to see who picked Chinatown, because Chinatown is such a charged map that I feel like it had to be DOU5. And we're going to see Lawyer as that last pick, but just 1 second. Okay, yeah, DOU5 did pick. It looks like interesting that ZS.Lin banned Leo's Memory. I'm not sure how I feel. I would have probably wanted to ban Chinatown or something that is more hunter-sided, because allowing Chinatown to be picked here, Chinatown is a really good hunter map. And it's good for Opera Singer, it's good for Dream Witch, it's good for Hermit, it's good for Gamekeeper, it's good for Wax Artist, it's good for Night Watch. Who am I missing? It's good for Geisha, it's good for Bloody Queen. It's good for Lizard. It's okay for Disciple. It's okay for Naiad. Like, it's good for Breaking Wheel. Like, I could keep going. You can play pretty much every viable hunter you can play on this map. So, the fact that they allowed DOU5 to pick Chinatown over, and like, yes, Leo's Memory is a more difficult map to work with. There's just no, you give your hunter the advantage, but you also give Yan the advantage, and the problem with giving Yan the advantage is that you just got 4 eliminated by Yan. So, you see what I mean? But yeah, we're going to see Yuan heading in here as the lawyer to round us out. It's a pretty solid team comp though. This is, it's a bit of a riff on something that's very obviously like we are going to be gunning for a 4-man escape. But yeah, it's not. Prospector here is going to be a problem, especially, yes, we are going to be going Dream Witch. I do not make the thumbnails that they decide to show me, and these videos are all extremely long. Makes it difficult to get timestamps to be entirely accurate. But yeah. I mean that I think it's funny. But yeah, I feel like ZS.Lin has kind of just shot themselves in the foot here by going with Chinatown, or by allowing DOU5 to pick Chinatown. Cause like I get the Leo's Memory ban, but it like Dream Witch is not great on Leo's Memory. And Yan is a Dream Witch main. Yan is also a Gamekeeper main. Gamekeeper's not bad on Leo's Memory, but if you're looking at somebody who's been playing Dream Witch for ages and say, let's allow them to pick a map that's good for Dream Witch. Because that's the main thing here. They were able to draw. For their hunter was able to draw. Their survivors were not able to draw. So playing, banning a map that is bad for your hunter is just risky. Because you already know that your hunter can kind of reliably draw against these survivors. Ish. I mean, obviously, we're banning Opera Singer, but like, theoretically. It's just, it feels like a not fully thought through decision to ban Leo's Memory, because I definitely understand where it comes from. It's just that now you've kind of played into DOU5's hands. And I think that's the main thing, because allowing DOU5 to pick basically any map that is good for Dream Witch, they're going to pick a map that's good for Dream Witch, because all they need to do here, they can play this where Yan 4Ks again, and then they just need to get 1 man out. And they win. And they've already proven that they're able to. That's where the draw thing works against ZS.Lin, because DOU5 survivors know that they can draw against ZS.Lin's hunter. And they also know that Yan has a pretty damn good chance of winning against ZS.Lin survivors. But heading into the match here, Yuan is going to take the first chase as Lawyer. So Lawyer obviously doesn't have much to work with, but we are building up that speed boost as we speak, having the map open, just tracking where the spawn follower is. It looks like we are going to try and trip up the first officer again, going to go ahead with the patroller trying to find where first officer is and just managing to get a bite right before that timer runs out. So nicely done from Yan. Unfortunately, that patroller is not going to go to much use there because we're going to just get that hit through the pallet anyway. So it's really not that much of a bad thing. There was also a hit from the spawn follower. I don't think we've actually placed a leech. Oh, no, we have placed a leech on Yuan, but it does not, yeah, that leech is not interested in joining the fray anytime soon. But our second patroller is coming out, and we're just trying to find first officer again, getting tripped up around the pallet, and just going to be able to get him. I think that may have been... I think that the shaking the watch there was out of the range of both the main body and the spawn follower, so I think that it ended up overlapping on himself. That's a little bit unfortunate for him. But very, very good for Yan here. We've got a little bit of Cypher Rush going on here, though. We were minute 41 in the match, and Justin still up. So that's, again, we're getting a little bit risky here with this whole chasing the rescuer first business. And, oh, referee has paused the deduction. So, hopefully not an issue with ping or anything. But yeah, it doesn't look like that pause was very long, so I'm just gonna fast forward the old-fashioned way. Which is, you know, the benefit of doing, you know, restreams, is that you can fast forward through the pauses, but oh! Well, we certainly ended up in places. I think, yeah, that is where they put us back at, so, wow. Let me just fix the quality real quick. Yeesh. Alright, yeah, spawning right back into, first officer getting downed in the basement. This is going to be first chair, though, and we're at 1 cipher remaining. Something happened here. Referee pause, we're at 1 cipher remaining when we get back to the stream. And our first chair in basement is currently happening. Yuan is going to take a hit outside of the basement, though. So it does look like... Yeah, it looks like we're able to at least cap one of those ciphers, but the final cipher is across the map right now. Yan looking for whoever's coming to rescue, but I would say, especially since this is first officer on chair, they don't really have to do anything. First officer being on chair here means that he has more than enough time to just sit and wait. But things are getting a little bit risky here for ZS.Lin. We're going to keep pressuring Yuan. Guagua has a patroller right now. And, oh, if we're able to make this hit... Yan looking for the fall hit here. Are we going to be able to get it? Yes, we're able to get it, but Guagua having enough momentum here. We're going to get that down, but the cipher pops in basement. We do have Tide Turner in play, but... Oh, Guagua able to get... not able to body block there. Or Justin not able to body block there. Guagua taking the hit, and Yan is going to have a double down situation here. Exit gate is being opened, though. But I would say best case scenario here is going to be, unless we're going to get at least 1-man elimination guaranteed. First officer's already down. But Guagua here, it's a little bit risky, but it looks like, are they just going to go ahead and take? Yeah, they're going to go ahead and take the draw here. Little bit unfortunate. Oh, and Yan is proud. Yan is happy about the way that ended. With the pop excitement switch, dice roll emote, but wow, yeah, and that is the strength of going with Dream Witch when you know what you're doing. You know, a match can go like that and you still get the guaranteed tie. Basement chair as well there really helped. Basement chair really, really helped there. But yeah, that's just very unfortunate there for ZS.Lin, you know, being able to, and that really is the thing, you know, first officer can kite the first 5 ciphers no matter what, but if that rescue gets scuffed even a little bit, and against Dream Witch and Basement, that's not an easy rescue, especially with the followers parked the way that they were. Yan was camping that basement incredibly well, and that's why it was forced into a draw. You know, you forced 2 survivors to be in the same place, in the basement at that for the cipher pop. just not a position that you want to be in as a survivor, and a great position for Yan as the hunter. So that means that if DOU5 is able to get a 3-man or a 4-man escape, they take this in 2 rounds, which is crazy. Crazy. But yeah, DOU5's survivor side has been struggling a little bit though. And their hunter side as well. They're kind of they're a very well-rounded team. The problem is that they're a very well-rounded team, you know. They stick to meta, they play well, but they don't go above and beyond. And you see, you know, with teams like ZQ, their survivors have such dedicated strategies that are almost unheard of. Half the game, you know, you can be good at meta. You can be great at meta. You can be the best solo kiter in the world. Unfortunately, when you're on a team and you don't take advantage of the fact that you're on a team, and you see this a lot in NAU, teams that don't take advantage of the fact that they're teams, they play as if they're playing as a solo player. Because we're all in this kind of individualistic mindset because NAU teams aren't professional. You know, there's no you don't get paid to be there, so why care about your teammates, you know? But wow, yes, that, yeah. Anyway, Charles. Yeah, but DOU5 locking in here. Looks like we're gonna ban Opera Singer, locking in the Aeroplanist and the Entomologist. Entomologist is an interesting pick here. JXY did have Wax Artist, I believe, on his profile, so yeah, looks like, yeah, locking in the Embalmer here as well. Definitely very telling that DOU5 is looking for that solo escape, because that's all they need. All they need here is 1 man out. So not as aggressive as a team comp as I would have liked. Prospector is always fun to bring out when you need just 1 escape. But Embalmer is pretty much a staple of that 1 man out mentality. Having that extra coffin, you know, it means that not only do you have a little bit of insurance, but it also means that your teammates don't need to come in and get injured on the rescue. But the match ended with a draw. Because Yan goated. But yeah, but that really is the thing, you know. If you DOU5 survivors play as a team, and I would say we're going to see that in the forthcoming match. But ZS.Lin survivors weren't playing as much as a team. You know, they were, but they were playing as a ranked team. You know, when you need to get that 3-man game, and we are going to see the Wax Artist here. Wax Artist is very, very good on Chinatown. There's not a lot of great areas to kite him in. This team comp, though, is not the best. Entomologist is a problem no matter what. Yeah, Entomologist is always a problem. Aeroplanist and Mercenary are not really issues. The problem is that they can just keep distance. They can't kite well, but the trick is to just not have them kite at all, and instead just keep their distance from the Wax Artist as long as possible. And Entomologist obviously has her bees for support, but also for kiting. I think if she drops the bees, then they can block the wax, I think. At least to a certain degree. But either way, it does automatically, you know, she has a movement speed boost, which makes her better at evading the wax. It kind of goes twofold for Wax Artist on this map, because on one hand, he's really, really good, because in between the buildings and in any of the straight spaces, so inside the buildings as well, there's a lot of, basically, for Wax Artist to succeed and for Wax Artist to be happy, he needs a lot of straight lines, because there's no other way to really get the wax onto the survivors. On maps that have straight lines or just ridiculously open areas, Wax Artist is really, really good. Wax Artist is really, really bad on maps like Arms Factory and Red Church, because first of all, there's too many corners. Second of all, there's too many walls. Third of all, there's just, like, you can't get a straight line to aim the wax in. It's almost impossible on Arms Factory. It's pretty much impossible on Red Church. It's just all around a bad time. Chinatown is made up explicitly of straight lines, but what this also means is that it's made up of corners. So if the survivors are able to kite around the corners, and this is where, you get your distance breakers in, we're seeing that Aeroplanist is not carrying Tide Turner, but is carrying Broken Windows, just to keep extra distance. All of these survivors are focused on keeping as much distance away from JXY as possible. So that's the strategy that they're going to be coming in here as. Again, they only need one escape. So as soon as they're able to get that solo escape, they've won. If JXY is able to 4K, we go to round 3. But it's literally all or nothing for JXY here. So, no pressure. And already we're seeing that even Chen on the Embalmer, who does not have anything to work with other than his own 2 legs, is able to get quite a bit of distance in this early game here. We've got 3 ciphers started already, and right now we're able to get a little bit of a straight line for that wax to connect. So nicely done from JXY. You see him kind of backing up the stairs to get as much of that wax as possible to kind of connect to Chen. But entomologist support already coming into play. Looks like, we were able to get both hits on the bees, so Silvershot is not going to be able to resummon them for a little bit here, and did take quite a significant chunk out of them as well, so that's a little bit less harassment there for later in the match. But Chen getting waxed off before the window. Nicely done from JXY, taking a little bit extra time to just block the window off with the wax as well. But I mean, he's playing Wax Artist very methodically, which is fun, but it's a little bit dangerous here, especially since we've already got 1 cipher popped. We do have our Embalmer down. Unfortunately, this is Embalmer. So Embalmer has 2 choices here. You can either rebirth immediately, which wouldn't be bad. Okay, we are going to rebirth immediately. We're looking for as much cipher progress as possible. We are still at 4 ciphers. But JXY going to block off the cipher here, as well as getting wax onto Chen immediately. Nicely done. Just waiting for that bubble to pop, and immediately Chen is going to go down once again. But we do have another chair to sit on. Nicely done with the pallet stun as well, just to waste a little bit more time. And we're going to be at 2 ciphers remaining in just a moment. Now, they haven't started their final cipher, but their second to last cipher is passing 50% here. They're a little bit behind, but again, they only need 1 man out. So if they're playing for a draw right now, they're playing for a draw right now. They only need 1 man out. If they get a draw, great. They still win. They just need 1 man out, which means that they can basically play this however they want, as long as they don't get too stupid with it. It gives them a lot of freedom, especially with how long that containment was. They're just going to sell Chen here because there's not much that Chen can do. The most that Chen can do is maybe escape from JXY long enough to embalm somebody after getting rescued, but it's just not going to happen. Realistically, JXY is just going to tunnel Chen. So it was smart to not put any of the other survivors in danger there. Because when you need 1 man out, you only need 1 man out. You don't need to win. And that is the key here. And that is what DOU5 is banking on, is that they're able to, worst case scenario, they're able to lose and they'll still win. Because it will be, all they need to do is get a 3-man escape. Or to get a 1-man escape. Because it'll give them it'll win them the round. That's it. They're just gonna go right for that cipher pop. Because that's the thing. As soon as you start getting distance between yourself and Wax Artist is relatively slow. He takes a while to get from place to place. It's because he's a stun hunter, so it's balanced in that sense. But fact of the matter is that he just takes time. And as soon as one of them gets to the gate, already we're opening that gate here. It's going to be 2 of them out the gate. And they've won. Silvershot heading for dungeon here as well. And without blink or anything, that is just going to be it. DOU5 is going to take the victory there. And that also marks their advancement into the top 20. main stage tournament. So yeah, pretty cut and dry there. Clean 2 rounds. Yeah, gift of prophecy, I guess. But yeah, they only needed 1 man and they got 3. That's more than enough to secure that victory. Yeah, I think actually I was wrong. They needed the 3 man in order to not go to round 3. Yeah, I was overestimating that, so ignore the last, 15 minutes where I was saying they only needed 1 man out. They were playing like they only needed 1 man out. They needed a 3-man escape in order to not go to... I was thinking we were on round 3 because everything about that was played like it was a round 3. I would also like to note that I've been awake for over 12 hours at this point, so I'm very sorry. But that's why I made that mistake. But yeah, they were playing that like it was round 3. It was round 2. I miscalculated. They That's embarrassing. But it happens. This is what happens when I don't have a co-commentator. Because I am bad at this. But yeah, it cut and dry 2 rounds. Yeah, I don't want to talk about it. I'll do better tomorrow. But yeah, that is full just draw. Or that's not 5. That's going to be 3-1. I was giving them too much credit. Yeah, 3-1. Still winning 2 rounds in a row. Thumbs up. Yeah, I mean, it's a risky way to play. It's a risky way to play. And it kind of reminds me of how Before You plays a little bit, where they do bank on their hunter. But the difference here is that they bank on their hunter, but their survivors are still able to pull their own weight. Very excited to see Before You in Koa, by the way. I still think that they're not going to make it into main stage, but it's going to be by a hair, and it's going to be frustrating again because they could have made it if they weren't in that bracket. But they are in the bracket with like Wolves and ZQ, and yeah, it's a pretty stacked bracket that they're in, so it's unfortunate. But I am very excited to at the very least see them play because they've been doing pretty damn well this year. But yeah, 5-12 is a little bit sad, but it does mark that DOU5 is advancing, which honestly, I almost thought that DOU5 wasn't going to advance because they were really struggling in IVL. They were struggling through qualifiers. Getting Dongshin bought out really just kind of threw a wrench in DOU5. But Yana's really been stepping up. It's been fun to see their progression from IVL to now. I think they're really improving. They're really improving. Yeah, I do think that Before You I think is going to beat Cat. But yeah. Cat is a fun team to watch though. Korea division's a little bit. I want them to have a chance against TE. I really do. TE, we're actually... I'll talk more about this again because I do have TE on my schedule. I don't remember which day it's on, but we are going to be watching TE in the next few days. TE is in a weird spot right now because TE lost their primary hunter, who was Anyi. Anyi was disqualified for the nicest way I can put this is confirmed allegations. You can look that up on your own. I don't want to talk about it at length, but yeah, TE's in kind of a situation right now. Now, their current hunter, Pepe is their current hunter, doing great, but they only have 1 hunter, and they were a team that was operating with a round 1 hunter and a round 2 and forward hunter. Pepe used to be only the round 1 hunter. He's had to step up and be all arounds hunter. So it's an adjustment. I haven't seen how that's really affected them because it was a recent disqualification. But that's where TE is right now. They're still an incredible team. Their survivor side is really, really strong. But I feel like that may I feel like that may have kind of an impact on TE. TE was also a new team coming into IVL this year. So I feel like if Before You has a chance against anybody who would otherwise be qualifying in that bracket, it is TE because maybe I think that their survivors may actually if Dongshun doesn't step it up, I think Before You survivors may actually have a chance. Because Dongshun has been struggling quite a bit. So I think Dongshun's going to pull himself together before group stage, but if he doesn't, then it's a big maybe. Because, and I'm only saying this because the way that ZQ plays is a lot like NAEU, weirdly enough. I think that they're the most similar team to NAEU, because they have such bizarre survivor picks. But they pull it out of the box the way that NAEU does, and that's a big reason why ZQ is such a good team, is because they do the unexpected a lot with their survivors. But I feel like if anybody's prepared for that unpredictability, it's going to be Sprinter, because he deals with it on NAEU all the time. Now, variables upon variables upon variables with that, but I feel like Before You does have a chance, and this might just be super wishful thinking, but I feel like they do. And I mean, last year was supposed to be their last year. What's been happening with Before You is that Schmitty is going to medical. He's pro player until he goes to medical school. So basically until that happens, every COA is like his last COA. Yeah, but Sprinter has been getting scouted. I think that as soon as Schmitty leaves, then the team's gonna fall apart, I think. Because Schmitty is the linchpin, which is going to be sad because I really I like Before You. I do. They have a really good energy. They have a good team synergy. If you haven't watched Before You streams, would highly recommend. Schmitty has a ton of them on his channel. They just they have good vibes, which is rare. It's relatively rare for an entire team to have good vibes for NAEU. But yeah, they have fun with it, which is something that I feel like NAEU kind of lacks across the board. We tend to take it really, really seriously. There's a few NAU teams that actually vibe together. Shout out to Halcyon, which I do almost every stream. But Halcyon is also super close knit. But yeah, other than that, there aren't really a lot of pro teams also do tend to swap players around, or not pro teams, but like NAU teams, on the big stage. They tend to swap players around. But yeah, I mean, it is important to remember. I mean, in light of the Anyi news, I think that it's important to remember that all esports is still esports. Because NAU gets a lot of flack. And I'm gonna, I will make this brief because I'm going to definitely talk about it again. B, I should end the stream sooner than later because we've been going for almost 3 hours. But one last thing, is that all esports is esports. Overseas esports is exactly the same as esports in NAU. I don't think Green is on the COA roster. Now, I don't know if this is because Green is not on the COA roster. He's not in game, and he's also not on the one that and Green is also not on the selfie on the plane, yeah. But, yeah, before you took a selfie on the plane. But, I don't know, it may have been because of outside obligations. I wouldn't jump to say that Green got booted from the team, because it is finals season, and hypothetically, final or COA runs through finals, final season for anybody in college or high school, but I'm pretty sure Green is college aged. But basically, I would assume that it was IRL stuff. I wouldn't jump to saying that he was booted from the team, but I would say that we'll probably see something about that sooner or later. But yeah. TLDR, all esports is esports. And I think this year, out of all other years, judging NAEU on the same standards as the rest of the world, like we've made it there. I think. I think we've really made it there. Which is also just that, like, you know, knowing enough about COAVII at this point, like, it's less of a haha, I've matched with these guys in game kind of feeling. But yeah, either way, I will never stop advocating for NAEU to be a region that is respected. And yeah, that's gonna be all from me. But actually, let me double check, because I know that, okay, tomorrow I am going to be starting, yeah, NAU, Korea, and Southeast Asia are all the non-pro regions, where we don't have... Southeast Asia is trying really hard to put one together, but it's not going so well, considering that half of them got disqualified for cheating. But yeah, which is why I say all esports is esports. But there's drama everywhere, y'all. It does not start and end with NAU. But yeah, tomorrow I am going to be starting stream a little bit earlier, but that is because we're going to be going over IVL finals with GG and Wolves. That is going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST, so the time that I started today is going to be 2 hours before that. This is because GG versus Wolves is, I think it's either 4 or 5 rounds, but it is BO5, so it's potentially up to 5 rounds. Up to 5 rounds plus overtime at maximum. So that can go on for a while, so I'm starting a little bit earlier just to kind of give time. And then after that, we're going to be looking at ZS.Lin once again against Weibo. So yeah. That's going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST. Rest of the week is going to be Monday and Tuesday back to the regular times. I'm going to be doing TE versus GR and MRC versus, again, ZS.Lin on Monday at 3 p.m. EST. And then Tuesday at 3 p.m. EST, I'm going to be doing HHDG versus GR. And then finally, GR versus ZS.Lin. So the match that is going to be apparently starting in 5 minutes, because I forgot to stop the video, that one we're going to be watching as the final match on Tuesday. Just kind of round things out. Basically what happened is that I'm doing kind of a scrambled version of the ending brackets just to cover the most recent appearance of every team. This also means that GR and ZS.Lin are the teams that show up the most, because they kept losing. Which is, it took them that long to qualify. They made it to the end of the brackets. Which does mean that we're going to be seeing a lot of them. But I mean, for better or for worse, because it gets you more familiar with them at least. But yeah, that's all from me. I've dragged this out more than long enough. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys so much for the raid as well. That was awesome. And thank you guys who followed and stayed from the raid. Reverse Magician, you specifically, because I've seen you active in the chat. But if anybody else stayed from that raid, thank you so much. Drop a follow if you haven't already. I will be back tomorrow at 1 p.m. EST for more of this. And that's all from me. But yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow, and thank you so much. And I'll have this up on YouTube, by the way. I'm actually going to remember to upload it. I'm going to do it the moment I hit stop streaming. So it'll actually be there this time. I'm on YouTube under the same name. You can find old streams there. Some of them, because I'm really, really bad at remembering to upload, but I'm getting better about it. That's all from me. Thank you so much, and goodbye for real this time.